Hello everybody, and welcome. Welcome to deMars Radio. What are we at now? Episode 14. 14 now. I've had 52 people already interviewed in the past. I think it's 2 months now. We're hitting 2 months doing this since kind of the quarantine, since a couple of weeks into the quarantine. And I'm absolutely having a great time. Jake Doran on YouTube, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, say hello, guys, when you pop in. We've got a really good show for you today, so I'll wait till some of you have popped in. I have a sneaky suspicion that YouTube or that Facebook are going to cut the show, so I would really recommend you to hop over to YouTube for a more seamless experience. I should get like paid by YouTube because I'm just sending people from Facebook to YouTube now. It's a more high quality experience, and they tend to cut me off less. Facebook have cut me off a good few times, but we have also 3 other platforms. We have Twitch, we have Mixer, and we have Mixcloud as well. So yeah, if one of them fail, just hop onto the next ones. The links are in the About section on the deMars Entertainment Facebook page. But yeah, just waiting for you all to come in. Do say hello. Do say hello when you pop in. What an amazing day once again, guys. This is not funny anymore. This is not funny. I mean, I'm very happy that, and grateful that we're getting a lovely day. Or we're getting all these lovely days, but, not while I'm working, It's kind of sucks. I have to be indoors. Doing something I love, mind you. So, yeah. What a lovely day. So, yeah, of course, you guys can put me in your pocket while we do today's show. I don't know what's easier to use when you don't have your phone in your hand. I think Mixcloud might be a good one, just for sound. So you can give that one a shot as well. And all the links are on they're either on the event page or on the deMars Facebook page. And I will try to advertise it on the other platforms eventually. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna get cracking. I guess I don't want to take too long setting up the show and waiting for you to come in. So I'll just give you a big L rundown on what we're gonna expect today. We have a great show. We have primarily bands as guests today. So every single guest today is a band, which is great. It's great to kind of keep it thematic almost. So we're gonna start off the show with San Rocco. And we're going to be chatting with lead guitarist Dara Lynch and lead vocalist Jim McDonough. Secondly, we're going to have Emily Jane from Vernon Jane. She's the guitarist and lead singer of that project. We're also going to be graced with all 6 members of Makings. So I'm looking forward to that. That's the first time I will be speaking to that many people at once through Zoom. So I'm delighted to finally get to experience that. And then to close off the show, we're going to have Zachary Stevenson and possibly more from Monkey. So we're in for a really cool treat today with a lot of different genre bands, all local Irish as well. So it's nice to have them all together under one show today. So we're really in for a treat, guys. Our pick of the week as well, by Paul Archbold, of course. The mysterious Paul Archbold, is Tosheen's Get Your Life EP. So, yeah, we're going to play a song from that EP as well. And, yeah, do share the video around when you come in, guys. Give it an L share. And, or tag your friends into the chat. And do say hello when you pop in as well. It's always nice to have an open conversation in the chat. So don't be shy, do say hello. And once again, we are spread across 5 different platforms. So here we go. Here's I see a bit more activity on the YouTube channel. So Tom Lee, and we got Emily Yonkov. So welcome, guys. Thanks for saying hello. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody on the Facebook Yeah, hop over to the YouTube one. It's a lot more active, and like I said before, it's a more seamless experience. You get HD quality audio and video, and plus you can actually hook it up to your TV, and then you can use Facebook to scroll your posts, so you can multitask that way. And we're gonna have obviously some music as well in between all of our wonderful guests. So I guess without further ado, guys, unless I forgot something major, but I think I'll just kick into our first piece of music, which is by singer-songwriter Ailey, and she's based in Dublin, and she also performs as a band under the same name. I've seen her as a solo artist many times. She released 3 singles last year: Boys Not Right, Bad Things, and her latest single being Our Song. And she supported many notable artists: Brian Kennedy, Freddie White, Bagatelle, and Christy Dignam. So she describes her sound as indie rock, jazz, noir, and post-punk. And I'm going to play one of her songs for you now to open up our show. And I'm going to play... What am I going to play today? I'll play Our Song. It's her most recent one. So hope you guys enjoy.
Stop the lights, hold everything. Is there something you would like to say to me? I can tell by the stance you take, and your silence echoes all of our past mistakes. And I know that it's hard.
guys, so that was our first piece of music today by Ailey with her song called Our Song. And that was released in December of last year. And she's got 2 more singles as well up there on Spotify. So that's our first little bit of music. Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome. We have a good few people in the house spread across five amazing platforms. So yeah, all you guys on YouTube, how's it going? Hope you're all keeping well. We got a load on Facebook as well. So welcome guys to our Saturday show of deMars Radio. And I'm just going to quickly give you a little bit of info on what's happening. We've got San Rocco on the show. We have Vernon Jane, Makings and Monkey. So we've got 4 wonderful bands that are going to join us and have a bit of a chat. So, and you guys, of course, are welcome to ask any questions you'd like to my guests as well. But before I bring on my first guest, I'd like to play another piece of music by an artist called Jana. And she's a singer-songwriter from Czech Republic who loves writing songs that have a meaning. So she made her dream come true, she tells us, last March when she recorded her debut EP entitled Distant Shore at AP Studios in Dublin. And she's been releasing each song as a single since then. So 3 you can already find online, and she'll be releasing her 4th called The Book of Life. And that'll be released on the 30th of June. And she also says that this one is actually the most... the deepest one of them all for her and the most emotional one for her. So she says she's saving the best till last. People can also pre-book that EP as well through her Bandcamp. So it's Jana with a Y. Yes, with a Y. Y-A-N-A. So yeah, I'm going to play her song Trapped in a Cage.
Put our dreams on hold. And what if we really want to step out, step out, step out from the shadow? Reach for the stars, reach for the stars. No chance, no chance, no chance of getting up. 'Cause every day we get closer, closer, closer to the other side. Sooner or later, we realize we're trapped in Please everyone, please everyone, please everyone, but you. So every day we get closer, closer, closer to the other side. Sooner or later, we realize we're trapped in a cage, trapped in a cage, trapped in a cage for life.
And that was Trapped in a Cage, and that was by Yana, Y-A-N-A, and that was the most recent of her singles, of her three release singles already for her EP that will be completed on the 30th of June. So yeah, absolutely awesome. I'm going to play one more tune for you guys, and then I'm going to invite San Rocco to the show for a bit of a chit chat. So prepare your questions, by all means, guys. And I hope you are all enjoying the weather. Let me know if you are out there in the sun, just to make me a little bit jealous. You know, you might as well. So I can fantasize, you know, being in the sunshine. And maybe I can figure out a way to bring all this crazy equipment out to the back garden. I think that'd be interesting to see if that's possible. But yeah, I suppose I could just wait till tomorrow, couldn't I? Yeah, we've got some great guests though, guys. Thanks for all tuning in, and do say hello. Yeah, give us a nice owl hello. I can see we have a good few people watching, so we have Yana in the chat already. So there's Yana. Thanks a million for playing my track. No worries, Yana. My pleasure. We got Pauline McDermott, and yeah, I can't see any of you until you say hello. So do say hi. There's Brew. Brew, what's the story? Don't be shy, guys. I'm not going to say anything bad about you. I'm not going to, you know, put you on the spot or anything. I do say hello. It's a multi communication highway we got going on here. So yeah, the more people interacting, the merrier. So yeah, let me play the next tune I have by a band called Myth, and they're an alternative rock band from Dublin. And they compare their sound to a mixture of Jefferson Airplane, the Cranberries, Fleetwood Mac and Paramore. In 2017 they released their debut single, Idiots Savages, and their second release was only available digitally. Both Hot Press and Joe.ie made it their track of the week after its release. They released an LP this April, self-titled, which features 6 exquisite songs. And yeah, it was actually quite difficult to choose a song by them because they were truly exquisite songs, I have to say. And it kind of crept under the radar. I didn't, under my radar anyway, I didn't have listened to it until recently. It was released just in April, about a month ago. So yeah, April was a month ago, by the way, guys, just in case you are confused whereabouts we are in the year. Barry J, there you go. Well done, Yana. We got Anna Kozak in the house. Hello, hello. Great. So I'm going to play... What am I going to play? Let's see. I'll play Forever on Display.
I never wanted to be Take
Yeah, so that was Myth with their song Forever on Display, which is from their recent LP, which features six fantastic songs. So check it out, Myth, MYTH, on Spotify. And that was only released about just over a month ago. Barry J. Lovin, that I can discover a new Irish Rock Trio show. Yeah, man, absolutely. That's it. There's actually not enough time in the show to display the amount of music that's out there. And I've been doing it for 2 months now, 8 hours a week, which is, it's I don't think it's definitely not long enough. You do need a full time radio station, I think, to be able to showcase all of the amazing talent. And even then, it'll probably take with what we have right now. Not considering stuff that's yet to be released. Probably about a year of continual, play. That's just a completely made up thing I just did there. But, anyway, just trying to say how much amazing talent there is really out there based in Ireland alone. So, yeah, guys, that concludes our little bit of music at the start. So I'd like to welcome our first guests to the show. We got Dara Lynch, we got Jim McDonough from San Rocco, who are an alternative rock band based in Dublin, and they've been gigging around the Irish circuit for a couple of years now. And they really recently recorded their debut single, followed by a second debut single, which they both released, which they released both this year, and they're actually fantastic singles. So I'm looking forward to playing them for you and yeah, introducing you these lovely guys. So here we go.
Hello.
Well, well, well.
Ahoy, ahoy.
How are you?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. This is great.
I know
It's real like, oh, there you are.
it's a little bit different, isn't it? I just kind of pop out of nowhere instead of like you see me in advance in a bar and then you kind of approach somebody. But this time I'm just like, whoa, in your face, all of a sudden in your sitting room, like.
I need a drink now. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's too late, man. You can't even go to the bathroom now. You're mine for 30 minutes now. So.
Fantastic.
How are you guys keeping, Dara? How are you keeping, brother? How's the quarantine life treating you, man?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think for everyone it's up and down and stuff, but like genuinely, it's fine. Yeah, kind of just getting by. It's just a shame that we can't get in practicing and stuff as a band. That's probably the hardest part.
Yeah, it's infuriating.
Yeah. So yourself, Jim, have you?
I've learned how useless I am on my own.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, because you're the.
It's just vocals. Yeah, no talent whatsoever. I pride myself on being able to find talented people and then just hitching my wagon to them permanently.
You look like you're calling me from LA or something, Jim. Where are you, really?
Yeah, just pretty similar to LA. Sunny Glasnevin. I mean, I confuse them myself quite often.
I mean, it looks lovely in your room, man. You've got the colourful T-shirt, you've got the lovely backdrop, you've got some nice paintings there. The sun is beaming into the window.
Yeah.
And aren't we so blessed that, like, even during these ridiculously weird times, we have this beautiful weather. People are feeling generally positive, right? Everyone I'm speaking to is just like, yeah, I'm actually doing pretty fine. How are you guys doing, like, as a band? Because you've obviously just released two fantastic singles, by the way, and we're going to talk about them a little bit. Are you, like, really frustrated because you just can't gig and promote these singles? How's that been for you? And I guess I'll ask you, Jim, first.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully we've all been fairly active over WhatsApp, just firing ideas in and things like that. I mean, there's less of an idea. Like, I think we're all kind of still having to vent and work creatively just to keep ourselves sane. I've recently taken on, and this has been a very slow battle, but I've only just started it, taken on the challenge of trying to catalog all recordings or ideas that we've sent into the WhatsApp group. So I downloaded about 200 sound, like audio clips from just the lads being like, oh, I've got this idea for a riff. And hopefully I'll be able to turn that into a coherent library of ideas at some stage soon. So then at least we have a base, so we know what songs we have, what we're even working on.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to even jump back to March. Like, I think what we were doing was we had our two singles that came out, one in February, one in April. And the idea was to go back into the studio with our mates in Display Studios to do some more recording again for another two singles. And then things change, things happen. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of nice to have a bit of like a breathing space, I guess, as well. It's kind of like jump back and be like, right, well, what are we gonna do? What are the songs that we're gonna pick for the
Yeah,
next singles? Yeah. So you kind of just have to roll the punches a little bit. Be like, right, cool. Let's take a step back. Let's see what recordings we have. Let's see what we can kind of build on from there.
mm,
Yeah. I mean, like I think that's the same. Everyone's the same in terms of like not having a gig or not having something to promote like that. But like we can only do what we can do.
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone seems to be just kind of like, yeah, you got to take it day by day right now. And a lot of people have looked back on their archives. You know, you guys wouldn't be the first. I know I spoke to one of earlier on in the series of these shows. Robert O'Connor said he just unlocked all of his archives and actually re-released them all as well. So it was kind of a good time for him to kind of look back and sort of almost reflect on his creative self, but perhaps on ourselves as people too, right? Like we're kind of looking at ourselves. And have you guys? Don't mean to put you on the spot here. Is there anything? But you know I like doing that, Dara. You know me well enough.
Of course.
In front of all of these wonderful people. But is there anything you kind of discovered about yourselves, like, you know, that you were kind of surprised about? Because, you know, people have been learning a little bit about themselves, like, or are doing different things you wouldn't expect yourself to be doing, perhaps. Bold things, maybe.
I know. I guess for myself, like I think you probably might have come across this with like anyone that's somewhat creative, is that you kind of feel this idea of like, right, we have all the time in the world. You need to be doing something. You need to be creative. You need to be like, yeah, getting something out there. And like, that's probably the least creative thing you can have is that pressure. So,
I agree.
yeah,
I think from my perspective, I kind of feel like when I have the time and when I kind of feel like picking up a guitar or something, then do that. I've been doing a lot more like technical things. Like I've forever been trying to learn how to use Ableton properly. So for people who don't know, it's like software for recording music, and like to just slowly tip away at that. That's probably the kind of closest thing in terms of like trying to
It's a great thing
learn
to do.
something. But yeah, exactly. And I'm sure probably for yourself trying to learn all the new technical stuff for doing the live streaming and stuff, I'm sure there's plenty to be learning from that.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't touched Ableton since, because I use it for the GTA project, obviously, for
Yeah.
live stuff, because it's handy for live and for recording. But I haven't touched it. I've moved away from my regular routine to do something irregular. And what about you, Jim? Have you sort of taken up surfing or?
yeah. I've spread myself very thin in terms of my creative endeavors lately. I always end up, as soon as I have a chance to kind of procrastinate, I do. It's essentially I get my best work done when I know for a fact I should be doing something else. But like, it's still a complete kind of, it's more like creativity as meditation. And it sounds like when I say that it's actually something I'm doing that is constructive, but it's really just, I mean, I've started trying to mess around with editing videos and putting together kind of almost sketch ideas and things like that. Not for anybody else. I'm not going to subject the world to my comedy in any way, but a bit of like photoshopping, drawing. I mean, like constantly coming up with lyrics and writing them down, and then when I come back to them, having no idea how the song was supposed to go in my head. But I'm putting together a lot of bits of ideas and not finishing them. But I feel like the fact that I've been able to actually work on anything in any way is so rewarding. I think when this all kind of kicked off, it was so easy to, so I'm working from home. My bed, as you can see, is directly behind me. I would be getting up in the morning and walking straight over to the PC in a dressing gown, sitting down, just starting the workday and working through, kind of almost in a think of, I thought of, I'm going to have a little bit more of a lie-in and then I'll be straight into work. And it just got to a point where I realized I was going mad, just spending all of having no kind of differentiator between my work life and my non-work life. So it was only kind of when I started to carve out time so I have to get outside the house before I start work. So I get up in the morning, go outside, go into the back garden, anything, just something to kind of replace what a commute would have been. And from there, it turned into, when work ends, and then I might try and work on something that is completely pointless, but a lot of fun to just work on anything creative at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That is my...
Yeah, because you're the first person to kind of mention that to me about, I suppose, breaking your routine up, right? Because you're totally right. Everything's kind of melded into each other because you're in the same location, so you're almost exactly living Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like when you might not even, when you it's dangerous to have the only time you leave your workspace in the day is just to go to the bathroom or to get like food, because
Mm.
I feel like my brain, if I wake up and in my natural state is to be in work mode, and which is that's a creative thing in itself in some instances.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still to be just fully in work brain as soon as you wake up, and I think I need to waste time for a little bit before I actually start spending it every day.
What kind of work do you do, Jim? What's your full-time job?
I work in IT, so
Okay.
I'm a lot of kind of support and software development kind of stuff. So it's problem solving in a way, gives you an opportunity to do new things, and also
Mm.
work on things that I'm completely clueless about and be humbled constantly on a daily basis by the people who do know what they're talking about. But it's it kind of it still it becomes a brick wall once you have no kind of separator for your
Yeah,
work life and your life.
definitely, yeah. And Dara, you work full-time as well. Are you working from home as well, are you?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
You
this is
doing?
my office.
It's your office, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Kind of working like data analytics, and yeah, I kind of get that vibe. It's like you like that kind of feeling of like, you know, oh, you can get up and like, you know, 5 minutes and you're in the door and you're working and you're in your laptop. It kind of wrecks your brain a little bit. You know, you need that kind of like,
Yeah.
even I know like commuting can be a faff for a lot of people, but sometimes like even just that, like to get out and that's your exercise for day of cycling to work, you know,
Mm.
that just
Yeah.
breaks up your routine and your day. And when you don't have that, it's just that kind of change in how you sort your day out. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
mess with you a little bit.
I will say one big benefit I found in it is, so if, say I'm in the office, I'm working away. If suddenly some idea for lyrics or a song strike you, you can't really just close what you're doing in an office and start writing down lyrics or try to transcribe something just so you don't forget it for later. Like, but working from home, it is kind of a handy one to be able to go like, all right, here I'm gonna. It's kind of like the way it takes me back to like studying for college exams and things like that. Like, it's that thought of, all right, just don't be wasting your time, but at the same time, don't work for 6 hours without taking a 5 minute break to look aside or something like that.
Mm.
Being able to take a few minutes aside and just scribble down an idea or kind of purge something out of your brain briefly so you can go back to work and actually kind of help both sides. But I find
Yeah.
the only thing is actually trying to work those ideas into something once you come back to it later if they're not completely alien to you.
Yeah, I guess everybody has their own creative process, right? And their creativity becomes active at random times, perhaps, right? Of the day, or when the brain is at its most perhaps automated mode, where it's not, you know, in the logic field or whatever, or however. I'm not a brain scientist, dude. I mean, and I think anybody that is probably doesn't understand it either, right? It seems very sort of, it's a very strange, very mysterious topic, right? The brain and how it functions, and on that level. So everybody has their own thing. But I guess it is handy, yeah, the fact that you can sort of just break away, pull back from your duties, and sort of and write down a jumble of stuff. But I guess perhaps that then reflects on yourself, on how you perhaps critique your own creativity, right? Or how you're able to jigsaw these pieces of words, or however you call them, that can possibly be alien to something. Because I've listened to your last two releases, Jim, and I think your lyrics are fantastically profound and deep,
Yeah,
and poetic and lovely. And I never knew you as a singer or a writer prior to knowing you from San Rocco, because obviously we know each other from school, right? We know each other from high school, from secondary school, high school for the Americans. And I never knew you as a singer. So I guess my next question is, like, what got you into sing? Because I knew Dara. Me and Dara played in little projects before. We had our first live performance at Star Search, which was like 2006.
Six, yeah. Wow.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Give It Away, you know,
Yeah.
which was
My
just
best John Frusciante, what do you call it? Doesn't matter. Go on, continue.
impression. I mean, like,
Impression. Yeah, that's the word.
dude, I mean, yeah, I wish I could come close to Chad Smith like on that, but like now probably be a lot easier. But Jim, how did you come into singing? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I come from a big family of singers and musicians. I'd kind of be, I think, one of the kind of lower ranking kind of talent members of the family, considering I don't play an instrument, but I mean, like, music has kind of always been in my life. I think my dad used to kind of sing on a regular basis, play gigs all around town, and even before, I vividly remember when the law came in that kids couldn't be in pubs past a certain time. And I remember being a very young child who had no reason to be upset about not being in a pub, other than the fact that this meant he couldn't go to his dad's gigs anymore until he was a bit older. But I think through the years, just by osmosis, like, just became kind of hooked on it, having kind of big family sing song kind of sessions at Christmas and things like that. Now, for years, I was definitely very shy about singing, and I'd say there are probably people in my life who would wish I was a little bit more shy about singing, just random outbursts of it. But
Oh, I get that
take
as
the
a
good with the
drummer,
bad.
you know. I think people wish I never chose the drums, right?
Yeah, but I kind of had been lucky to grow up around people constantly singing and things like that, to the point where then throughout kind of secondary school and things like that, making friends who were equally as interested in this stuff. Like, I think I found that it a lot easier to write lyrics and actually sing them once I kind of started doing it with people who enjoyed writing music and coming up with, like, we're collaborating really, because on my own, I'd have a decent handle on writing music alongside things, but I just used to love how my ideas would completely end up changing. Like, how I envisioned, say, The End Is Never the End originally was
Mm.
completely different to how that song turned out. But like, it just kind of manifested in ways that I just think additions that the lads in the band were able to make that I could never have come up with myself, which is just part of why I love doing it.
Did you have the lyrics
Really keeps me going.
before, and or did you guys jam it? Were you guys in? How did that come about? Actually, I'd be really, because that's my favorite.
The
That's my
song
favorite. I love
originally
that song.
the song originally started out with me just having an idea in my head of singing "The End Is Never the End" over and over again, and kind of slightly altering the way it's sung. And then from there, like, cause I almost have these really, really poorly pulled together ideas of arrangements in my head where I'm trying to almost kind of a cappella come up with how the bass might sound and things like that in my head. It inevitably sounds like completely different, but it helps to work together an idea. So, like, I think a lot of the time our approach is less of me bringing a vocal melody to the table and then us working around that. Although that does happen, I think that was an interesting kind of experiment, because it was just me bringing this to the table, saying, like, lads, what can you do with this? Singing it, and then uh, gradually we all just kind of formed a better, kind of more rounded idea of the song. Like,
Mm.
it in its original form, it is fairly one way and fairly tedious. But like, that's the one thing I love about playing with these lads is uh, how quick kind of nuance gets introduced, and
Mm.
it's one of those things where you kind of worry that, like, ideas will clash, but more often than not, even when they do clash, it still ends up kind of creating something else. Like,
Mm.
collaboration, like, conflict can be just as healthy as, like, discord, I suppose, is important if you want to progress it out. But like, harmony and discord go together in that way, where, like, two people disagreeing on how a song should fundamentally go might lead to a compromise that makes it a million times better in the end. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's just one of those things, like, I
definitely.
love about it.
Many bands would be kind of like that, and it's almost like a dysfunction. It can turn into almost like a dysfunctional family, in many regards. But
Mm.
there is this underlying respect for each other that sort of keeps the band together more so than anything, no matter what comes up on the
Yeah.
surface. Because creation is can be a complicated process between people. And Dara, what about yourself? Like, how are you finding? Because you would be, and I'm going to make a wild assumption here. You are the main instrumentalist and sort of. Because I know you from being like a musician for so you quite seasoned musician. Would you be kind of the second person Jim would go to, or is it all kind of in a band environment? And plus, I guess just your
Yeah,
perception on creativity.
it's yeah. I think for the band that we're in now, it's pretty much all equal. Everyone kind of brings their own idea, or own thoughts to it. Um, yeah, just kind of thinking of like the end is never the end. Like that was quite different as well, because I think a lot of the time it would be myself or someone else from the band, like any of the other instrumentalists will kind of come with a riff, and that the usual kind of like jam it out, and then I think maybe Jim would kind of take something from that, or kind of get to his notebook and kind of pick something out. Obviously, Jim tell me otherwise if that doesn't happen.
No, I'm constantly terrified in when we're jamming that when I'm trying to like, I'll just start writing lyrics on my phone or try to find old lyrics on my phone that might fit something as they're jamming. And in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking like they're looking at me like I'm just texting somebody here, like I'm just completely zoned out. Like, yeah, one thing. Yeah. But no, it is one of those things where uh, I think a lot of my ideas, even lyrically, come directly from what the lads come up with jam wise. Like
Mm.
I do try and take a lot of second kind of do a lot of second drafts of lyrics, but inevitably we do. It's what kind of comes out first that sticks, surprisingly, which is kind of fun. Like the amount of times where like we had a song that we haven't recorded yet, hopefully down the line at some stage called After Dark After Hours. Sorry. After Dark, After Anything, Non-Stop Disco Party, Discotheque, DJ Mix, Volume 6. Volume 6 for short, though, but
Oh, thank God you
that
shortened it.
song,
It's catchy,
that song
guys. Like,
came
what
out
are
of,
we saying?
All right, I'll give it some time to digest.
it came out of a jam where I think Ewan was playing the synth for a change, and he came up with just a fairly simple riff, which everybody else kind of joined in and started building on, and I just had that like fairly long title, After Dark, After Anything, Non-Stop Disco Party, Discotheque, DJ Mix, Volume 6.
It's
Is lodged in
amazing. I
my
love it
brain
already.
from
Actually, the second time it sounds so much better.
uh, basically friends of mine were over on a trip in Thailand and they came home with just a cassette. They bought a cassette that had that outrageous title on it, and they just kept repeating it because it was such a fun title to learn and repeatedly say. So that I've had it lodged in my head from since that night. So it's only basically that song ended up just being almost entirely those lyrics repeated over and over this kind of cacophony of funk that
Yeah.
powers it through.
It kind of reminds me of like Uplift Mofo Party Plan or something, like an early Chili's title. Um,
Yeah, has that kind of energy to it. Almost gibberish, but there's something there.
there is a nice mix in the tonalities and the songwriting, and this is all my perception of you guys only from seeing you guys live and listening to sort of your debut two singles, right, that you've released. There's kind of this mix of like there's a hint of Chili's and there's a bit of Doors. I mean, I'm hitting on those two definitely vibe wise. I hate doing this, and I'm sorry I'm doing this to you guys.
It's impossible not to though.
It's hard not to because it's all our brains relate to something like that. But it's such an interesting
Yeah,
mix that I'm getting in my head about it that I can't really compare that to too many projects, especially right now in like the Dublin music scene. I think it's quite unique from the sound. I think I was drawn to your singles as well. When you released them, especially The End Is Never the End, I thought there was definitely something there that was just like, wow, it's something kind of new to me, from listening to so many different bands. I love when that happens because it does happen frequently enough, actually, because the scene is so vibrant. There's so many amazing musicians. Can you tell us the process of like recording? So you recorded that in Displace Studios, was it? Can you tell us a little bit about that and sort of how it came about?
Yeah,
I'll let
Displaced
you.
were mates, I guess that I guess we met through you and our guitar player, and they're based on the Richmond Road around there near Troubadour Rehearsal Studios, and um, I guess yeah, we kind of went in there for 2 days to record those two songs, and I think I already liked that song in particular because I think we had that refrain, "There's the end is never the end," and like for a couple of different reasons, I guess for Jim to come with an idea before the music came, so we had to kind of almost interpret what way we would use that, which I thought was really interesting, and a good challenge musically. So we had gotten to a certain point with that, and then myself and Ewan came up with the end refrain part where the song kind of feels like it's going to end, and then it kind of doesn't end, and it kind of almost reflects the whole "the end is never the end" idea, at least
Mm-hmm.
musically. And I think what was kind of quite nice for that song as well is to go in and not have everything ready. I think, at least from my own experience from recording before, I'd be very almost militant about like, right, cool, this has to be the part that's done. This is what's going on next. And this is have everything planned. But I kind of like the idea of we had gotten so far with it, and then we were like, actually, I don't know how we're gonna record this exactly. Let's kind of just go in and have a bit of time to kind of play with it. And I don't know, Jim, did you kind of feel any other kind of feelings from the day, or?
I think one thing that actually helped with the writing of that song a lot was, and it's ironic, but because it's a bit of an annoyance, but in the lead up to Christmas, we kind of had trouble getting any rehearsals where we were all available at the same time. So there'd be a lot of times where we were playing without Sean, who's the bassist, or we're playing without James briefly, who's the drummer, or myself, or you, or Dara might only be available later in the night, and it really highlight, like, the times playing that song, missing rhythm section parts would just show how that song is just carried so much by like Sean's bass line and James's drumming, that it's kind of funny just seeing certain parts of the song in isolation, or seeing the absence of those parts. It really helped kind of build an idea of where the energy kind of was in the song. I think especially as well, recording it in Displace was fantastic because, I mean, very partly because we know the lads a little bit now, but I think as well, they just have a really keen kind of ear for different bands, for like a multitude of sounds. So like, it's great having them to kind of almost back you up, or second guess you if need be. If they reckon something could sound better, they were brilliant at kind of calling it out or suggesting it. It's definitely, I think the support we've gotten from them over the years is just fantastic. It's really kind of become a part of the band, really.
Amazing. Well, I'd love to play "The End Is Never the End" for the guys. So I'm gonna give it, because we've been talking about it so much, and I want to hear it again. So let's play "The End Is Never the End," guys, by San Rocco, and I'm joined here by Dara Lynch, their lead guitarist, and Jim McDonough, lead vocalist.
doesn't last. You know now it wouldn't last. Tell me that you know now it wouldn't last. And somehow it doesn't last. Oh, somehow it doesn't last. Never, 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 never,
Awesome. So that is The End Is Never the End by San Rocco. And I'm joined by these wonderful gentlemen. We got Dara Lynch, lead guitarist, and Jim McDonough, lead vocalist. Guys, what a fantastic tune. Are we expecting more tunes after this quarantine? Are we you talked a little bit about it. Are we going to see more?
Yeah, the original plan was to kind of roll out 4 tracks over the course of 4 or 5 months, but the brakes have been pumped quite quickly on that. But yeah, definitely quite eager to get out there and start following. We have a couple songs that are borderline complete, but they're all competing for attention really at this stage in our heads. But I can safely say I cannot wait to get back into
I'm sure there'll be so many people that want to get back to live gigs as well. So I'd say it's gonna feel so good no matter what gig you go to, whether us or anyone else. It's gonna be, the vibes are gonna be great.
I agree. Yeah, I think I'm so etching just to go see everyone, see as many live gigs as possible, and it's going to be great, I think, for artists as well, because people will appreciate music a little bit better, I think, after this, and hopefully that'll last, up forever. That people are like, oh, remember that time in 20, 50 years from now, where we're like, oh, we've never missed a gig, or we've been to like 100 gigs in a year, whatever, since then. For 50 years, imagine that. But no, I really can't wait to see you guys live and to see so many other bands, man. It's just going to be beautiful. It might be next year, we don't know, but we'll see what happens. But it's also amazing how people are still releasing music though at this time. It's still lovely. People are still artists are still doing that, and it's wonderful. Is there anything, guys? I'd love to chat to you a little bit more. I've got more guests, not unfortunately, but the fact that
we've got some great guests coming on.
We've got some great guests. Unfortunately, I'm short on time with you guys, but would you like to close off with anything with regard to San Rocco and anything with regard, promo stuff, anything like that, or anything coming up?
I suppose keep the ear out for future announcements. I suppose get on the usuals: Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Bebo, RIP,
Tinder.
Yeah, things. Yeah, actually, that is, we have discussed setting up a San Rocco Tinder. I mean, it'd be purely platonic relationships, but why not cover all bases?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully things quite soon will allow for some big announcements.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And Dara, would you like to close off with anything there and say hi to Mom or?
No, yeah, same. Also check out Display Studios as well. They have a fantastic array of guys that they've been recording, and again, that are itching to get back into the studio as well. And there's lots of mixing in the background as well. So if you like our recordings, if you like any of their recordings, check out them as well. They're itching to go as well. So we'll be back with them as well ASAP. So
awesome. That's great to hear. Displace Studios, yeah, guys, absolutely amazing. Wonderful people as well. I've spoken to. Is it Darren? Is it?
Yeah, Darren, Tom, Johnny. There's a few of them.
Yeah.
Great.
Great bunch, man.
Yeah, lovely guys. I met Darren in Chennai. Actually, I think it was at your gig. One of the ones at the Christmas Skull session. You guys were playing a wonderful gentleman. I spoke to him on the phone as well, and we were meant to work.
Wizard.
Yeah, we were meant to work together as well before, and then this quarantine happened. I was planning on doing some kind of promo stuff, in the studio, and then this happened. So everything's kind of stopped a little bit, but here, it is what it is, guys. Listen, Dara and Jim, absolute pleasure, guys. Enjoy that sunshine. Get out there. Grab a surfing
Will
board. Chat to you soon, brothers. Take it easy. Great
Cheers,
to see you.
dude.
Bye.
Yeah, cheers.
See you, Jim. Take it easy, brother. All right, so that was the awesome San Rocco. Two of them. We had the lead guitarist Dara Lynch and lead vocalist Jim McDonough. Lovely bunch of guys. And they also have another tune on, I think it's on YouTube as well, on Spotify, of course, as well. We played The End Is Never the End, which was recently recorded in Displace Studios. And what a tune for the times we have. And what is absolutely eerie is that, a lot of the music that has been written only a few months ago by musicians seems to be quite relevant to what we're experiencing at the moment. So it's quite amazing when that happens. So before I bring our next guest onto the show, I'd like to play a song by a band called Tapped, and this project consists of frontman Lee O'Reilly, who's also the songwriter. And this project's based in Dublin. The band features Stephen Murphy on drums, Keith O'Neill on guitar, and David Owen on keys. The project started only last year, and they also won the Crystal Skull Sessions, the most recent Crystal Skull Sessions as well, I believe. They released 2 singles and a music video, which is filmed in the Wicklow Mountains. And for 1 year, they've amassed 2,000 Facebook likes already. And this is an exclusive. I've been given an exclusive, an exclusive song from them that's going to be released, I believe, on Monday. So just this Monday, and it's called "The Life and the Soul."
Your defender's soul. Everywhere that you go, it's the life that you hold. When I breathe you, you're the last thing I adore. You've lost so many parts of you. You'll
So that was The Life and the Soul, the upcoming single by Tapped, which is going to be released on Monday. So yeah, thank you so much, Lee, for sending us a little bit of a exclusive, which you guys already know at this stage. I love my exclusives. So without further ado, please welcome our second guest, guys. It's Emily Jane from Vernon Jane, a jazz punk collective who are known for their raw, unhinged, and powerful live performances. So they've been said to create a feeling that not many other Irish bands on the live or festival circuit can match. The Thin Air said, Vernon Jane are here to kick the living daylights out of you and your loved ones and teach you a lesson while you're at it. Wow, what a review. And yeah, they released their debut album, The Ritual of Lovemaking, which features 12 very, very, very unique songs that take you on a pretty deep emotional journey. And I absolutely loved listening to it. So please welcome my second guest, Emily Jane, to the show. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for taking the time. Sorry for the delay. Jeez, I can't seem
Oh,
to avoid the
sorry.
delays. So how have you been? You must be quite busy, are you, with all the promotion that you're doing and sending out all the vinyls and all that stuff? How's that going for you?
Yeah. I think yesterday I took my first day off, like my first proper day off work. Um, so that was really nice. So I'm just gonna try and enjoy the long weekend. But it's been really good, really busy, and keeping really happy doing it all. It's keeping me in a good place. So yeah, delighted to be busy at this time.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I guess at this time, more than ever, right, to have something to
Yeah.
distract you and something positive, right? Because this is something that I guess you guys have been working on for so long, right? It's been quite long in the process, and it's amazing. By the way, I loved it. I listened to it through and through multiple times, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. What you've done with it. Are you? Did I hear somewhere, and I don't know if I read it somewhere, or were you speaking about it, that you are doing all of the legwork now for it? That you basically have to do all the posting, all the app marketing and all that stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It's been interesting. We work with our manager, Anne-Marie Shields. Um, she also does our distribution, and so like all of our digital distribution, that was all a-okay. That was all on plan, but we really wanted the physical distribution to work at the same time. Like we've a worldwide physical distribution deal, so the records were set to be in record stores all over the world, which was really exciting. And we had all the records pressed and everything ready to go. But unfortunately, like with all the restrictions and different things, we couldn't get the records out, and that physical distribution has been pushed back, which kind of held up everything for us. But we decided, kind of as a unit, we were like, the records are in my house. Our bass player Ricky lives around the corner. One of my housemates is our guitar player. So we're like, look, let's do this. Like, let's just our bass player made the website himself, and we just figured it out from there. So we've been really overwhelmed by the reaction. Like, I'm pretty much packing all the time, but it's been really nice because it means we're able to put in little notes to people, and like it's bananas how far it's reached as well. Like, I mean, we've posted records to like Helsinki and Texas, and like
Oh, it's
it's
awesome.
yeah, and I don't think we would have fully really realized that if we weren't doing it ourselves. So it's been really, really cool. And so it's like a little warehouse. My sitting room is a little warehouse at the moment, but really rewarding. So yeah, shout out to everybody who's been buying the stuff off the website as well, because yeah, it's really great. Like
Yeah. No, amazing. I'm delighted for you. That you get to keep busy, and yeah, it's a more personable thing, right? Because you're more involved. There's no middle person, so it's just you guys versus not versus, but with the client or people interested. And I suppose yeah, you get a lot of great feedback, and you can personalize it, which is really
yeah,
nice. And it's amazing. You guys have such a far reach. It's absolutely fantastic. And do you know what's actually this prior to this interview, and I was doing a bit of research on you, and I knew about you before, and being in Dublin, but I was like reading all the wonderful reviews magazines had about you, right? And it was just like, you have to see them live. You have to see them live. And I haven't seen you live, so it sucks. I'm here talking to you, and I've listened to your album. I've watched, some of your live videos, and I haven't seen them live yet. I can't believe it. So I am like etching just to kind of wait till this is all over to actually feel this, this energy that, you have been described as so many things live. How are you coping with not playing live?
Yeah, it's been really interesting because like all of us, like there's like a core like we're all really really close, and there's nine of us. We can do shows sometimes where there's four or five of us, like we chop and change, but at like realistically there's nine people involved. So
Wow.
our that like we're checking in with each other, and some like our one of our BVs is she's in London, and then other people are kind of locked down with their relatives, like looking after vulnerable people, or like like myself and my housemate Joe, he's our guitar player, so we've been able to kind of stay in good touch, the kind of thing. But it's been very
Unavoidable.
strange. Yeah, like we went from seeing each other like 2 3 times a week, definitely at least once a week. We jam at least once a week.
Mm.
And in the run up to everything, we were seeing each other constantly, to like not seeing each other. It's been really like 3 months now. And the gig in the Academy, that was our last show, but we were just gonna announce an Irish tour, and we had some great news coming up for a tour in October, and then some other things in the works for our live shows. Because as you said, like I mean, it's such a cathartic experience. It's really really good for us as people
Mm.
to be playing, and it means so much to us. Like, so it's been, I think each one of us has hit that wall where we're like, oh God, I just need to get it off my chest, even if it was just to be in a jam room together, and just
Mm.
like the loudness and the aggressiveness of it is always, you always leave feeling better for it. So
Mm.
that's kind of what we get from our gigs, and we want to give people from our live show, is that like you feel better for it,
Mm-hmm.
You might have to feel some things that are a bit uncomfortable, but you'll leave feeling connected, and feeling relief. Like it's okay to be a bit mad sometimes, and scream and shout and get a bit sweaty. So
Mm.
definitely, like myself and our drummer Neve, like we'd be really close best mates, and playing live is like, it's so important to both of us. So I think out of everyone, we're feeling it. Like
Mm.
we're both going a bit crazy. She doesn't have a kit at
Mm.
her house
Oh
either.
wow.
So
I'm the
yeah,
same. I'm a drummer and I don't have the kit. And obviously the drums are such an amazing, like for a live sound, a live drum kit. You can't, I'm anti-electric drum kit. The acoustic drums are
yeah.
just, it just adds an inexplainable energy to a live set. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's quite medicinal, isn't it? It really is. Like going back to what you're saying about, letting yourself go, blowing off the steam, and just letting it all for the musician, yourselves, and the people listening. Because obviously a lot of people relate, whether it's instrumentally through subconscious emotions to what you are playing sonically to the lyrics that you're providing as well, right? And I suppose with regard to this album that you released, it's through your own experience. It's your expression that you've obviously, for I don't want to be, trying to delve in and make my own understanding of your experience or your album, because it's all subjective. And it's, for me listening to it, I come up with my own sort of perception of it and all, which is, that's such a beautiful thing. You can relate to so many people by just you having your story and I'm having a separate story, and this album in the middle is sort of, they could be different stories, but it's definitely making some sort of a connection. It's beautiful. But how have you felt after creating something like this? Did you feel like a weight off your shoulder after you finished writing something like this?
Yeah, I think that's the really funny thing, is that like it's been a really long kind of journey, and because we're all so close, we kind of, each person has a favorite song, or has attached a certain meaning to different things. And I've referred to it a little bit as like a time capsule, because obviously it is rooted in parts of my life, things I've seen, things I've experienced. But I think it being so rooted was a really important step, because we've always prided ourselves in being honest and just saying
Mm.
it how it is. And but then as you get older and you grow and you're in your group of friends and you're in your band, there's a fear of being honest as well. You're like, oh God, like what will people think? What will people say? Will it be received okay? And I think with this album, I just kind of, as I was writing everything, it was such a cathartic thing and such a massive part of my life, that I was like, I really don't mind anymore. I think, like you said, the beautiful thing is people who need to take what they need from it will take it.
Mm.
And I got something from this album as well, like selfishly. Like I like you said, was there a sense of relief? And definitely when it came out, it was such an emotional week because we're not together, but not to harp on that too much because there's lots of positive stuff as well. And we did try and make the most out of it. We stayed in touch and we had little Zoom calls, and we're always just a phone call away from each other. So, I text our bass player, Ricky, just being like, I just feel really weird that it's going to be out because it's that feeling of we've lived with it for so long. And like, it's special. It feels like it feels like a part of my heart and my soul. And we feel very connected to it. And the experience we had recording it, that there was the apprehension of like, will there be judgment? But there's always going to be like a judgment, no
Sure.
matter what work you put out. So I kind of the relief I felt was more of a personal relief that I felt like okay, like that's a little part of my life I can move forward from. And I
Mm.
think we all as a band, as a unit, kind of felt like that's such a special thing, and we can't wait to actually like play the tunes.
Yeah. Have you played any of those tunes live?
Yeah, we have.
Okay,
Yeah, so we had
that's
started.
good.
Yeah, like we were doing smaller gigs in the run up to the release, and then at the Academy at the our last show in March, we played the album start to finish because it's a
Oh,
concept
brilliant.
album. So we kind of wanted to bring people through that, and try and get
Mm.
that across. And it was honestly, all of us agreed, the best gig that we've ever had, like in the history of shows, because
Amazing.
there was no doubt, like we had put in all the work, like where even if you felt like you were going to play the wrong thing, your hands knew better. Like it was muscle memory at that stage where
Yeah.
you were really able to enjoy and lock in with each other and experience that performance together because we just know the album and we feel the album and we want to get that across. So really feel like that was a really special gig for us to end on. Like I think everything's on pause, and yet the shows I mentioned earlier, we started working with MPI,
Hmm.
and our booking agent, his name is Julian, and he's fantastic. And so all those shows are just on pause. So
Mm.
everything's going to happen. So I do want to keep positive about it. Sometimes you're like, oh, it really sucks that we can't gig, but
Yeah.
we and we'll get to do that soon. So
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, like, 'cause it's hard to almost know where the mental sort of conversation goes, right? Because it's where I think artists are naturally, obviously expressive, even in their wording and to describe a situation. And there's both parts to it, right? There's black and white, there's good and bad, and it's okay to look at sort of, okay, there is an issue here, obviously, with what's happening in the world. There's a lot of
yeah,
weird energy, first of all, weird vibes. We don't know what's going on, or we know what, as humans, it's a shock to us. We've never had like this kind of situation happen to us in the modern world. Blessed with technology in a way, right? With communication and all that kind of stuff, people can still create and share it across the world, which is a blessing. Imagine without internet and stuff. So there is that, you can kind of talk about the negative, but go into the positive ultimately as well in the
yeah,
end. So there is that sort of tug of war happening, I think, in a lot of people, isn't it? And at the beginning, I guess it was a shock, and then we kind of start to go through the stages of what's that? The stages of loss, isn't it? Or
yeah. Like I think one of the main things that like you come back to is it's really okay to feel a bit shit about it for a while. You're allowed kind of go because a lot of the time we revert back to going, oh well, so many people have it worse than we do right now. But let yourself have an hour or a day where you just like feel like you've lost, like we've all lost our kind of normal regime. So it's really okay just to be a bit sad for a minute and then pick yourself back up and try and find the positive. But I do believe like trying not to be really hard on yourself is really important right now. Like and another thing like we always talk about is we're just not hot wired for change. Like
mm,
and like back in the day, like we'd follow animals to follow our food. So we're really used to just like doing whatever it takes, and like change isn't good. So we'll follow the animals that already exist that we know we can eat, and that's fine. We're not going to wait around and see what happens. So that's actually just hot wired in our DNA, is like change is like I don't like this at all. So it's okay to be a bit afraid with all of that. But I think I like the kind of idea that things are just on pause, especially with creative things. Like we can keep creating, we can keep building and creating art is really important. But you know, things will get better. I
Mm.
think.
Oh yeah.
I
We'll come out of it, you know,
yeah,
and it won't, nothing lasts forever, right? In that
no,
kind of way. I mean, that can be seen as well as kind of a dark thing, right?
yeah,
But and, like I'm actually really curious. Still reverting back to the album creation process. Was there a time, because obviously, like you say, it's a concept album, so you had to really kind of refine sort of how how the album progresses from your initial, your introduction, your middle, and then your ending, right? It's like writing a story, and you have broken it into four chapters, I believe.
yeah.
So were there any songs that actually that you sort of added in any change, last minute changes, like crucial last minute or last minute, you know, we have to get rid of this one? Was it always 12 songs? Was there anything crucial? I'd be very curious to hear like how that works, because I'll talk later, but I'd love to hear this point first.
Yeah, I think like I had started off the process. I kind of knew I knew that it was all going to be new. I knew that it was all going to be written as a body of work. And I obviously like we've grown as a band, and it just felt like we had shifted so much that the material needed to shift with us. And I was my writing style had kind of changed again and evolved again. So it's like this needs to be its own body and it needs to be its own story. But that started very much on my bedroom wall with I had like 333. I had that was the first song on the album I wrote, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember that being so visceral and aggressive, and in rehearsals literally crying, like being like, I don't know why this song has appeared, but it has. And that was kind of the trigger for like, okay, this is something that needs to be worked through. And like that started it off. But I remember like a few months after I was writing all the ins and outs and different tunes, but like not so long after that, Fucker arrived, and that's the last song. So I had written the first and last song within a very small space of each other. So on my wall I had like the first song and the
Mm-hmm.
last song, and over the process of writing it all filled itself in.
Mm.
And I kind of put the framework together because I write quite thematically. So I kind of quite an overactive brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to put the limitation on it to go, okay, that's fitting within this theme in order for me to actually finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't put the restrictions on it, it's like a never ending 45-minute song that like no one wants to
You can
hear.
just keep adding to it and keep
Yeah,
adding,
like
right? Okay, so
like
you're skimming sort of the stuff you don't need,
yeah,
right?
like we go into jams and like we always start our jams with like, you know, it can vary from a 20-minute just let's just all do a bit of free flow and like we'll rip into it. We could do 20 minutes or 2 hours and you wouldn't feel the difference. You know, you could just be lost in this movement of music. So that's something I really love is we'll always start a jam that way where we're just all you might need to just shake off the day. So you just turn
Mm.
up your guitars and get real weird with it for like a little while,
Do
and
you
then you start,
do you,
you know.
do you record your jams? You'd have to, I
Yeah,
guess, right?
so I'd actually be so upset if I lost my phone. Yeah, but yeah, like I've kept all those recordings. I've some of those recordings from when we first started as a band. But
Mm.
you're asking like what was like a crucial song and like a like kind of last minute change was I think like would have been about 3 or 4 weeks before we were doing studio, like, and I knew that I wanted to write like daddy issues. I knew that that was something I wanted to do, but it's such a kind of in your face song and a very difficult song. But we had a jam in Ricky in his house sometimes. We use his dad's office to jam, which is like shout out to Ricky's parents as always. Thank you so much for putting up with our nonsense. But yeah, like we jam in the front room, and we had one of those like 20-minute jams, and it was daddy issues, but it was like totally convoluted. It was like
Wow.
all these different sections. So I listened back to that recording quite a lot, and I just condensed it down to like, okay, here's 3 minutes, right? These are the best sections that we got, so that's all free flowing. And me and our guitar player were walking to practice, and as we were walking to practice, I was like singing the melodies, and he was like, "What if we did this? What if we done that?" So we got to the jam, and Ricky and Neve were there, our drummer and our bass player, and we just within 15 minutes, Daddy Issues came together, and we were
Amazing.
kind of there like, yeah, that's it. That's definitely going on the album. That's what it's this crucial. It was a song that I was afraid to write for so long, and then once we had it, it was like instantly everybody's favorite. We were just like, yes, the song, we love it, fantastic, and it got put on the album. So yeah, Daddy Issues was the last minute kind of put that on there. It should be fine.
Slap it on.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah, so I guess it was there in you, subconsciously. You were
yeah,
holding it back,
yeah,
and then it just came out naturally through stream of consciousness, really, isn't it? Or stream of
yeah.
conscience, like, really, isn't it? Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and that only really comes from just trusting the people you play with. Like, there's just this
Mm,
inherent, you can say whatever you want and scream whatever you want and be as loud as you want in a jam room, and there's kind of no judgment. So I feel like Daddy Issues is a real good example of, yeah, it's like one of the first tracks, and it just takes getting to the end of the journey to really see where it started. So I think
hmm.
that's where it came from. But definitely as well, our growth as a band meant, right here, look, I'm just gonna shout all this crazy shit, and you guys
You're gonna have to take
can,
it.
yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. I don't
You're not,
mind.
you're not, you lock the door. You're not allowed to leave the room. You're gonna have to put up with this.
Yeah,
And was that the first single you released as well? Was it?
yeah, it
Yes,
was.
that's
Yeah,
crazy. And it's the last
yeah,
song you wrote, and the
hmm
first song to release, unexpected, 3 weeks or a month before.
yeah,
Amazing how that happens. Well, I'm glad I asked that question because I was quite curious. Was there? And I was like, oh no, maybe not. Maybe maybe the.
yeah,
But there you go. It's. I guess it happens more often than not, probably with
yeah,
musicians. So regarding trusting, a band and people you work with, have you been with these guys since you went to BIM, right? Is that correct? Did
yeah.
did you
So
play with the guys in BIM or did you meet them there?
yeah, so our me and our drummer Neve, we went to Ballyfermot together. So and our current guitar player Joe, we all went to Ballyfermot. We were, God, like 17, 18 when we met, and we were all in the band. We actually had this recently. We had like a Zoom Q&A, and people were asking us this, and they're like, "What was the name of the first band you were in?" And like we were like, "Listen, actually, we were 17, 18. It was an okay band. We were okay for being 17, 18. So we were in a band called Bamboo Party, and
Bamboo Party. Okay,
yeah, oh,
excellent.
fantastic. Like, I learned so much. We gigged constantly. I loved the music we played, and I learned an awful lot. Like in that band and in Ballyfermot, especially the
Mm,
class that I was in, there was musicians who were a little bit older than me, and I just watching them. And I played in probably 7 or 8 bands while I was in Ballyfermot. I played like bass in a band. I played like keys in a band. I sang with
you've got to try
everyone.
it all.
Yeah, I just wanted to learn. And then when I got to BIM, I kind of had found, okay, I figured out kind of what I wanted to say and my style, and I start kind of playing guitar properly and start learning guitar properly. And I met Ricky, our bass player, and Eve, and we were, yeah, like we all studied together, came up together. Our current guitar player Joe, he didn't play with us initially, but about, oh God, like 3 years ago now, he joined back in with us. Like, and he's quite a jazz theory kind of very intricate player, and I'm more of a feel
Punk.
it out, it's cool. So that balance was really important. So I think that really opened up our sound again, where it was like someone who kind of, it makes me feel like, okay, I want to like figure out what I'm actually playing as well, because
Mm.
and he's always like sometimes I remember his first jam with us, me and Ricky walked over and like turned his guitar amp up. We were like, come on, like you need to kind of get into this
You
a
need to
little bit
punk it up a bit because it's jazz
yeah,
kind of punk, isn't it? In a way, like that's how one way I suppose you could describe the sound,
yeah.
right? Which is really interesting. It's a really interesting mix within genre that works. Isn't that crazy? Was that sound like that was obviously just kind of accidental? It just came along through a mix of personal
Yeah, I
tastes and
think
stuff.
because like I start learning guitar quite later in my life, like I would have been about 19, 20 when I started taking it seriously. And I lived with a group of guys, and they'd go out partying and I'd stay home, and like they'd set up the pedal board with a bass or a guitar, and I'd just stay there till like 3 in the morning, like working out like all these weird sounds. They'd come home from a night out and I'd be like, check out this like cool, trippy like riff, you know. And so I learned that way in that house in my first year of college. And through kind of learning guitar that way, I didn't learn the basic like chords or the basic like theory behind guitar. I just kind of learned shapes, and so I play primarily in shapes and what strings I think sound nice
Mm.
together. So I'd usually be very specific in what I'm playing string wise. I wouldn't.
Hmm.
I'd kind of pick it out that, oh, I like those strings together. I don't really like when I strum it, but I like the strings. And so that kind of led to this jazzier kind of tone. I was always working with like sevenths and stuff in what I was picking and what I liked. And then yeah, then like when Joe started kind of picking apart songs and what I was doing, turns out like I play in weird time signatures a lot too, but I always think, oh man, that's just 4/4, and it's like, Emily, that's in seven. What's going on? Like, how do you not know that's in seven? But I think
That's not your job to know. That's the drummer's job.
yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for like now that I'm evolving and you're constantly learning anyway. Like that like my love of guitar and learning it that way kind of led to then that's a great foundation for Joe to use all of his like theoretical jazz knowledge because I'm already hitting on things that he can really bring color to. And yeah, like Ricky, our bass player, he studied drums in BIM. So he kind of picked up bass and was learning it similar to me. So we can be quite like, let's just feel it out, like, you know, and that's really exciting when we do it. But every so often you get hit with the, why isn't this working? And it's like really weird. And like Neve, our drummer, gives me the side eye of like, no, I'm not doing that. Like,
It goes
like
too
I'm
far, right?
yeah, like stop doing that. But we get there. We always get there. So it's really I and then like yeah, the punk element is just from I remember my friend Joey, an amazing blues guitar player, like a wonderful blues guitar player, and I remember being like, just everybody keeps telling me to like learn guitar and like an acoustic guitar and like learn all the chords and all. And I just don't want to. Like I don't want to play acoustic guitar. I'm just like, it's not the sound. It goes, then get an electric guitar. Like whatever way you want to play, get the electric, get a distortion pedal. And that's the like once I did that, I just found my sound immediately. So I hate that kind of myth of you have to learn on acoustic before you get electric.
Sure.
Get the electric and like figure it out, you know. And ever since then, yeah, like I love exploring guitar that way, where it's not just this strict set of like these are the things. You can do whatever you want with it.
Whatever feels right. And I guess for you, it takes a little bit of time, right? For in your with your respect to, you know, because you go by the sound, the tones, I guess. So you can't just like look up online and go, oh, that tone or that one. You have to hold it and play it yourself, right?
The thing is, like, I've a degree in music, but like music theory was always something I really struggled with because like I struggle with kind of like numbers and like symbols. I always struggled with stuff like that. So music theory really relates back to that. So I struggled with it the same way I struggled with maths in school. Like I literally like I learned it like for memory, and then it went out of my memory. Like I learned it to pass my assessment, but like it never stuck. And I always felt like not great about that until I realized there's other elements of being a musician that can like account for that or make up for that, where it's like, you know, I really have honed my ear to figure out like, okay, like what can I do? So constantly learning and definitely trying to get better at theory, but not the best with it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's sort of two sides. Well, I'm sure there's many, many more in between, but from my perception and opinion more so, there's like two sides to kind of creation. There's a musical, I suppose, performance even. So there's the logical, theoretical sort of left brain way to approach it, and you get a lot of amazing musicians that play in orchestras or that are just absolutely genius, and they can read the sheet music there and then when you just put it in front of them, but they couldn't create a piece out of nothing. Almost they can't play without sheet music, so they're missing, and that's the extreme, right? I'm saying that from my sorry dad for giving you a shout out here, you know, and he's an amazing classical, he plays for the National Symphony Orchestra, you know, and here's me talking about him, but like he's more that kind of type, you know what I mean? In my opinion, now he's probably going to come here now and give me a backhand slap. But then there's those that are just extremely creative and emotive, and you know, they're constantly creating and exploring different sounds. And so I do believe that there is, and there's a lot in between, I guess, you know. And I guess that can depend as well how much work you want to put into working on the logical side, right, or the creative side, or can we even do that? You know, how our brains work is a mystery, you know.
It's very funny, all the like Zoom quizzes and stuff that are happening right now. Like I lose every single Zoom quiz and I'm like, but I'm street smart. Okay.
Yeah. You just got to put that in there at the end.
Yeah, like and so like with music, I'm like, yeah, I may not like know the ins and outs, but like I'm musically smart. I just don't know how to tell you how I'm musically
Yeah,
smart.
yeah. Just put it like one of those stickers on the screen there on the top right, just to say that, I'm just here just to kind of, I'm just
Yeah,
chilling. I'm not taking part, but I'm musically smart, by the way. So, um, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. How on earth did you record 12 songs in 3 days with nine musicians? How does that happen?
We really got really lucky because like to be honest, like we're all very anxious because we're all really anxious because we love playing live, so that can put pressure on if you haven't jammed in 2 or 3 weeks and then you have a gig. We could play that gig and know that everybody knows the tunes, but we wouldn't enjoy it as much because you're having to feel it out more and you lean on each other. So that can come with being in a band a long time, but all of
Mm,
us kind of don't like that anxiety. Like me and our drummer, we kind of often like with anxiety and nerves before a show. It's like we'll say, think of how many times we played these songs. Like think of how much practice we've put in.
mm,
So we practice quite a lot, but we don't really give ourselves credit for it. Like we're always like, it's not enough. We should be doing way more. And like you could be coming off the back of a full Sunday of like you're playing 12 till 6 that whole day, and you'll be like, that's not enough for the week. And you're like we can be very hard on ourselves that way. So
mm,
we had been putting in lots of practice in the run up to the album. Like we were seeing each other all the time, we were talking about the songs a lot. And so we had 3 days booked in Camden Studios with Connor Brady, our engineer. We were like, we'll just get the drum and bass down for the 12 songs because like that makes sense,
mm,
that like and we can add things later. And the way that we knew we'd get the best drum and bass performance was if everybody was set up. So we are like, let's everybody get set up. Now in terms of brass and backing vocals, a lot of that was done after like later on during the days. But the core kind of five of us, our percussion player, Neve, our drummer, Ricky, our bass player, me and Joe, we were all set up. And we just it was kind of this instantaneous. We had mapped out every song with clicks, and we were like going playing along. We started with Daddy Issues, and we were playing to a click, and we were like, "This doesn't feel good. Like this doesn't feel good for Neve. No,
mm.
it wasn't clicking for us, clicking for us." But so we just decided we were like, okay, let's just do it without a click and see how we get on. And then there was just this energy immediately in the room where everyone was just buzzing, like we were like ready to go. So we just ran with that momentum and we played through like we'd done everything kind of in order. And then the
Mm,
four songs, the four kind of transitionary songs, Cleanse, Sink, Drown and Float,
mm,
they were all just like quite in the room moments. Like as a group we had maybe played run through them maybe once or twice before studio. We genuinely thought that we'd do them later on
mhm,
because they were only kind of coming together later in the process. And then the energy in the room kind of it felt right. It was like these are telling the story, so let's just capture that. And I really feel like we got that in Drown specifically. I just really love that moment will always stick with me because it was such a fragile moment for all of us in
mm,
studio. And so by the end of it, I remember us sitting in Camden Studio, Connor, our engineer, and we'd listened to the album start to finish, and we were just like, how, how did this happen? Like, and so after the fact, we done like an additional 1 or 2 days in the studio in BIM. I worked as a receptionist there, and so I would always go in on my lunch times and stuff like that. And graciously they gave us the studio for a day or two, and we put on some additional brass, so you can hear that kind of with
mhm.
drugs you can understand kind of when
Yeah.
you hear those brass lines. That's kind of Joe's work. He really mapped that out and stuff like that. So that brass we done additionally, and then there's additional percussion that I engineered and I recorded,
Mhm,
which is really fun, and it was a really kind of nice moment for me to get that done. So I worked with Dara on that, and then there's two tracks, so Over and Other Side, I redone the vocal for on my own in studio on my own. I just really felt quite fragile about both of those songs, and I really wanted to push myself to capture those. So I definitely done way too many takes of vocals, in particular with Over. But I think eventually I got there. But those were two big mountains that I personally wanted to climb. And then with the backing vocals, I engineered them as well. And some of those later on with the girls. So it was, yeah, all in all, with the additional stuff, it was about 5 days work, really, recording
That's
everything.
amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
But yeah, like I love that it's now, it is a live album. Like there was very little tweaking in terms of the proper foundations of the album, but then the mixing process, we were really trying to get that right with Connor Brady, and mixed it as well. And I thought it was really important because he got really connected to us. He's like kind of a 10th member now. So yeah, really, really glad that we had someone who really listened to us, you know. So yeah.
No, it's absolutely amazing. I'd love to chat to you more, Emily, because there's so many questions I could ask you, but I have more guests to attend to. So, but thank you so much for taking the time on a lovely Saturday. You know, sorry to be taking you in from your vital vitamin D. You know, we all need a bit of that.
Like, so it's totally cool.
I was going to ask you before as well, are there plans? I know you're already in the midst of marketing, and you're obviously, you took your day off, you need breaks and stuff like that. But are you thinking already ahead with anything in the studio? Is there anything you might have? I read somewhere you might have something at the end of the year planned.
Yeah, so, because people are really like buying the record, like properly buying it, and our t-shirts, they're starting, like, we're properly making money now. So it looks like there's a second album and an EP there that I've been demoing at the moment, and so we will be hoping to get into the studio at the end of the year, and it'll most likely be the EP, but the EP is slowly kind of becoming an album. The longer I'm alone, the longer. So we'll see, but definitely we will hopefully be releasing in the new year, and we have really, really cool gig plans as well. So just gonna stay positive, and yeah, like, thanks to everybody for all the support. It really has, like, made our whole album release that everybody has kind of come behind it so much. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I'm absolutely delighted that the album is such a success for you guys, and it's well deserved. You know, the amount of work you put into it, and the amount of it's like your live gigs have been described. You know, just this raw, real emotion. And I guess it's great that you didn't do the click in the end. You know what I mean? Because it does pay that respect to your live.
Well, we say it all the time. Like, if you see Niamh Casey drumming live, she's a click. Like, we never needed it. It was just kind of just to give her some security. But Niamh is the best drummer, like, in Ireland, and I will say that. And people can come for me if they want.
Be careful, somebody might snatch her up.
Well, no, there's a lot of love in Niamh. We have a lot of arrangements between us.
There, you heard it, guys, in case you have any ideas. Yeah.
But snap her up, like, part-time or whatever, but she's my full-time ride or die, so.
There you go. Don't get any ideas. Awesome, Emily. Listen, have a great day, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, and I look forward to hearing more news from you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye. All right, so that was Emily Jane from the absolutely awesome band Vernon Jane. And yeah, I'm going to play, I have to play as a song. Of course I do. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Don't worry, guys. And I'm going to play you, so many good songs in this album. I'm going to play Daddy Issues because we mentioned it. So let me load it up. And this song, okay, just to let you know, if you are tuning in, was written a month. It came together a month before they were in the studio. So already after creating the concept and already writing most of the album, this song came almost subconsciously to Emily. And and it was their first single released as well. So this is Daddy Issues by Vernon Jane. right, guys. So that was Vernon Jane with "Daddy Issues," and that is one of 12 fantastic songs that you can find on their album, "The Art of Lovemaking," and yeah, of course, they are selling actually that album on vinyl as well, so you can order that with them. You can find that through Facebook, and I believe they have also actually a website, I think, for that. So I need to triple check that, but I'll post that anyway in the description. So we were speaking with Emily Jane there. Absolute pleasure getting to know her, and yeah, getting to know the process of creating such a wonderful album. So yeah, absolutely amazing. So let me see where we are at. We are halfway through the show now. So I think I will. Yeah, I think I'll bring on our next guest. Let's keep the flow going. So my next guests are The Makings, and they can be described as electro rock laced with rap, and they released an EP album, headlined Whelan's One to Watch, and completed a tour of Germany all last year. Their second ever album, Cognition, was our pick of the week last week. And their current lineup consists of Rick Byrne on lead vocals, guitar and synth, Barry Schock, lead guitar, vocals, Raoul on bass and vocals, Mr. Reynolds on drums, percussion and vocals, Carrie on 420 on vocals, and Juliana on vocals. All of them on vocals, which is absolutely awesome. And they have released a single recently, Elevate, which will be their fourth single released this year. And I believe Barry just wrote to me that they're actually going to be releasing, I think they just released another single today, which these guys are unbelievably hardworking, clearly. So yeah, let's invite them onto the show. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Let me know. So we got Rick connecting to audio, so that'll take a couple of seconds. Barry, I can't hear you, and Raoul, we're still waiting for your video, so it takes a few seconds to pop up. There we go. I think we got Rick. Do we have Rick? Is it? Maybe it's my sound that's the issue. Let's see here. Maybe I'm having sound issues, because you guys don't look muted.
You hear yourself?
Oh, I got you.
Nice.
I got one of you. I got Barry. Do I have Rick?
Right.
I can't hear you, man. I can't. I wish I could lip read. You know, that would be amazing in these moments.
There's a wee button. I think there's a wee button in the left-hand corner.
But you know what? It doesn't say mute. Oh, now he's muted. Now he's not. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not getting any sound. But I'm getting you, Barry. So that's weird. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Is Raoul there?
Raoul, can you hear us? Is there 3 more joining us?
Well, Juliana had a bit of a problem there trying to get in. She couldn't. I don't know what the issue was. You know, she couldn't.
No worries. Well, 3
into the meeting. You know.
Yeah, that's. Does she want me?
She's still trying there. You know.
No worries.
But,
No rush. It's all good. Well, thanks for the patience as well. I'm running a little bit late as always. Always seems to happen. So let's see if we can. Have you had a Zoom? You've had Zoom before, right? So it's nothing to do with Rick's mic or anything that might be malfunctioning.
Yeah, well, we did. We actually did a test go there just for the first time. We never a couple of days ago. We had our own group meeting, and so that was the first time we did it. You know,
Rick, I think we heard something.
Yeah, we all logged into that. All right.
We did. We don't have you. Oh shit!
I think there's a little. Maybe he's not pushing the button. There's a little button in the bottom left. So you can choose.
Oh yeah, actually yeah, Rick. If you click that where it says mute and click that little arrow that points up, you can select a microphone. Maybe it's not a microphone that is active, so you can choose.
Can you hear us, Rick? If you can hear us, give us a peace sign.
Yeah, he can hear us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trip out that little arrow next to the mute button. Click on that.
Yeah.
And you'll get a list of microphone inputs.
Now that's
So
if you're
maybe,
on the laptop now. Are you on the
yeah, but
phone, Rick, or are you on the laptop?
oh
Laptop.
yeah, if you
Yeah. See, I can lip read
laptop,
actually. That's crazy. Yeah, I can. I'm learning here. So it should
yeah,
work. Yes, on the laptop, if you click that little arrow beside mute, and there should be a couple of microphones. Maybe scroll through them.
yeah, you
Nothing there.
maybe pick one for your computer.
Yeah. We could kick you out and bring you back in and see if that works. To sort of just reset it, perhaps, or maybe reset the. I'm here. Is that from you? That little ringing, or is that the kettle boiling?
Yeah, it could be the. Hold on, is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, it's great
I
because
think it's my laptop actually. I think it's my laptop.
it's not an issue. Don't worry, it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can get Raoul back in. This might work. So we're bringing Raoul left. Do you want to leave Rick and then come back in? Just see if that works. So we got Raoul back after he left. So we're just getting his audio. Look at that in the sun. He's teasing me in the sunshine. Raoul, how could you do this to me? And I've been looking out my window's right here beside me, but I'm getting good lighting from it. So Raoul, how are you?
Very good. How are you, Kozak?
I'm relieved we have you on sound right now, brother. So that's 2 out of 6. 2 out of 6,
Yeah.
right? We got
Yeah.
4 more, which is
Little by
amazing.
little.
Little by little.
I was in and suddenly it crashed. You know how it happens just when you need to get in. But then I just restarted everything and here I am. It must be the sunlight.
Must be the positivity, man. The sunlight, the
Yeah.
positive vibes. But yeah, this will happen. You know, of course, we're all learning the technology, and it's fun. It's a bit of crack, you know, trying to learn how to use all this stuff for other things because it's so hugely important right now, isn't it? All these, like you were saying, you were having a Zoom meeting, right, with the band, and it's very important to use this kind of technology, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's new. It's definitely new for us anyway to have these kind of meetings, you know. So
Yeah. It's a strange world we're living in. I hope, you know, I don't know if I could ever get used to the drive-in gigs, you know, that they're hosting now, where, you know, instead of clapping your hands, you rev your engine.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
it's too weird. It's just too weird.
Yeah, I couldn't watch makings, you know, live and in a car. You know, it's just.
maybe if you go on the roof, maybe, and if you can go on the roof of the car.
Oh, on the roof, yeah. I suppose if they allowed that, yeah. I'm sure there's loads of laws in place. You know, you can't do this, that, or the other. You know, big sign, and yeah, I don't trust that. But I guess I can have a chat with you guys while we're waiting for everybody else. I guess we'll just keep an eye on the phones just in case the guys need the link again or anything. Cause
yeah, I'm in touch with some of them in WhatsApp as well. So
great. So we're speaking to the lead guitarist Barry, and we're speaking to the bassist Raoul.
Yep.
At the moment from Makings, guys, and absolute pleasure to have at least a third of Makings at the moment. So maybe it was too much to hope for to get the full six members.
Yeah.
You know, it's the first time I've spoken to more than 3 people at once, so maybe this is doing me a little favor. I get to interrogate you piece by piece.
Yeah, that's good. Bring it on.
Absolutely. So I mean, I guess I'll first and foremost ask you just to kind of break the ice and how you guys have been doing in this whole quarantine captivity. And I suppose Raoul, I can maybe ask you first how everything has been for you lately as a musician, as an artist, in perhaps particularly in Makings as well. How it's been for you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's one of the main industries and areas of society that has been impacted the most with the quarantine, and it's just like what you just said, gigs and music is something that brings people together. So it's kind of very hard to cope mentally with it and say, okay, we have to take this as an opportunity, and that's basically what we have done. We have been recording. Everybody has their own setup home, so I would be recording some bass tracks, and then to Barry, he would put some guitars, then the drummer Patty would put some drums, send it to Rick, mix it, send it back, and the same with videos and releases. So we have actually taken this as this crisis as an opportunity just to work harder in terms of online, you know, keeping the presence on social media, doing you know, everything just to say to the world that we're still active. Like it's a real bummer. We don't want to get too political on this, of course, because we are musicians. That's what we do. We could speak hours about how this is impacting. But the main thing is that we're focused on just releasing material and keep writing and composing and mixing and producing and just keep going, do more, and just this is our way as musicians personally, and I'm pretty sure everybody the same. Just takes this and turns it into something good. That's the principle of music. That's what we need to do. That's what you need to do as well as a, in the entertainment industry, just to keep it going. There will be a lot of things that will go against it, but working together and doing more, just keep bringing it on.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Rick, do we have you? We I don't think we have sound yet.
Rick, yes, we
maybe
missed the sound, but we have the image.
we have the image. So let's see what we could do. Let's keep working on that. Maybe we'll still figure it out, but
Yeah.
we can still chat, I suppose, until Rick. Rick, it's all good, man. Don't worry. We'll make it work eventually. The guys can speak on behalf of you, and answer all your personal questions for you, because I'm sure they know you so well. But how has it been for you? So Barry, so it's great. So you guys seem to have like a very well sort of oiled machine in a way. Like you guys are really, you have a studio each in your house. You're able to record and send tracks separately and things like that, which is amazing. So you guys are still working, and today you released a single as well. Could you tell me a little bit about that? I didn't know about this. I'm always excited to
Yeah,
hear new
well,
stuff.
to be honest with you, we just we were working on the. I haven't actually heard the finished master myself yet, because we just posted it up this morning. I think Rick was working on it up to the last minute, and we said to ourselves, "Geez, if we could get it finished, and play it on your show as a premiere, that'd be pretty cool,
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah.
So we're working on that, and so I haven't actually heard. I haven't heard myself yet the finished piece of music. But this is called. Did they even change the name of it? Hold on.
That's like an actor not seeing his movie, isn't it? Like you hear a lot of actors on the talk show. Yeah, I haven't even seen the movie. I don't even watch my own movies.
Yeah, because that's where we were missing Rick, because he's been actually working on this one.
Okay, so he'd fill in the blanks.
Maybe fill in the blanks here. Yeah.
Maybe he has something I wonder if he's running through Logic, or is he running through another software that might be interfering with the mic? Because if the mic is being used in another program, aka if he's been editing the song possibly on the same laptop that we're trying to communicate through, that could be an issue.
Yes.
Maybe we could message. One of you guys? Do you have his number handy there, Barry? You could maybe
I've got his number.
just triple check, because I know I usually get that with Ableton, and I'm using a latency thing, ASIO for all, and sometimes that just wrecks any kind of audio that's on the that's on the computer. But you guys are churning out a lot of stuff. I mean, what's this now? 5th single out in like 5 months, so a single a month. And 2 albums already, an album last year, an EP last year, a tour, and a lot of gigs in between. Like you guys are super duper hard working.
Oh yeah, as I say, it is. We've been working on the system of churning out music for a while now, So we do have a well-oiled machine at the minute.
Yeah, it's great.
Where we all kind of, so sometimes not being, we can all work separately, well, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to come up with ideas constantly, So all the time, so somebody will be on to us, Rick will be in the studio, and he'll say, "Okay, I need an idea,"
So would you all be like individual songwriters in that kind of regard? Then would somebody instigate a song in a way, like would Raul? Would you, as a bassist, would you come with a song idea to the project? How does that work?
Yeah, normally we will have like a own machine, like a system, we call it, the making system, just writing songs and thinking about your role when you're writing, but also just going completely out of the box. And just I would be writing some parts for the bass, but I would show the song to the guys and just say, okay, it could be something like this, but just go nuts and just everybody feed on each other's idea. And this is how things develop basically when we meet in our studio, the Studio 28, and that's our temple, we call it. Just when we get together, we work on tunes, ideas, fresh ideas, old revisit, just keeping the machinery well oiled and rehearsing, recreating. So yeah, it would be a part of composing and also self-feeding on each other's idea.
And most of the time, we don't really. every time we get to jam, we always have at least a couple of brand new songs to work on every time we get together, you know, as a group, you know, as well. So we always can make sure that we always the well of new material never runs short, you know.
Yeah, so there's always something. There's
yeah.
always some sort of creation that
Yeah.
you have on the table. Yeah, it's amazing. It's lovely. Like I'd love to. Let's see if we're trying to get Rick in again. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Getting these, but hopefully I'll get to the studio eventually. I can have his physically once this kind of goes down. It might be a little bit better to just chat to you face to face, isn't it? Rick.
Yeah, I think.
Oh my God!
You know what that
We
was?
bring it on
That
by
was
a little bit of suspense, you know.
my
First the
degree
guitar, the
in
bass.
yeah. It's like you need a degree in computer science because I turned the computer on and off. So you know
That's the trick. That's like the first thing you do.
that's literally the only fucking thing I did was turn the computer on and off.
It's the only thing you can really do, isn't it? Like in this situation, other than just like I can't really be bothered resetting. It's going to take like 20 seconds, and you know everything has to relaunch. Well, good to hear your voice, Rick, and welcome to deMars Radio and to the rest of us. How are you keeping anyway? You're learning a lot of stuff anyway. I see.
I'm
as all
hanging
of
in
us.
there, yeah. So what else would you be doing nowadays? Only knowing the intricacies of computer technology and writing the odd tune. But yeah, no, it's nice to see light at the end of the tunnel after this whole obvious COVID-19 thing. I think it's been getting most of us down, so it's good to see that we're coming out the other end.
Yeah, especially with the lovely days we've been blessed with as well, isn't it? There has been a bit of a positive sort of light to it.
Yeah.
That's keeping us going, right, and keeping us sane. But you guys are extremely busy, which I love that. Like I've known you, Rick. I met you in the check-in. I don't know if you remember this, and I think you were a two-piece. Now Barry, I can't remember if you were with Rick back then.
The check-in. I remember doing a gig in the check-in.
Was it
years
you?
ago.
Maybe Rick wasn't there. I can't remember. I know it was like a stripped back piece. Was it a duo or something like that? And it was with Keith, and it was like the freak out sessions. This was like the early. I'll probably be embarrassing myself mentioning this. But you guys graced the place for me. You know what I mean? And it was amazing. So I do recall meeting you, Rick, there. That was a good few years ago.
Yeah, Genie Rack, it's going back a while. We haven't played the check-in in a long time, for sure. Yeah, it's mad. It's crazy how things go, you know. And it's an interesting spot because it's not really your typical kind of venue. But
Definitely not. No, it's not a venue. Full stop. We just had an opportunity to sort of play a bit of tunage there, but the band was quite different back then, right? So I mean, how recent is this incarnation now of the band, and is it yourself and who are the original members as well? Because I kind of
well, you have the original members. It's basically we were a 4-piece basically. To cut a long story short, you know, I mean, it was initially it was myself. And Shock got together. You know, if you go back far enough, we were doing like acoustic tunes.
That's when I would have probably seen you.
Yeah. Well, that was basically, we were kind of a different outfit. We were looking for a drummer then. And then shortly after that, Mr. Reynolds came on the scene. And then we had 2 bass players, Johnny McGee and Shane Keeley. That, cut a long story short, they didn't work out for one reason or another. And I was actually thinking that we're going to have, you know, the curse of the bass player. This is going to be something that's going to be, you know, because it does happen to bands, you know. It's one of the hardest things to get right because especially when you're dealing with the kind of tunage that we're doing, you know, you need, I always find it's easy to get singers and guitarists. It's just hard to get good bass players, you know. So we auditioned and then Raoul joined and that was us, as far as I was concerned. That was us, and we were like that for, you know, for the first album and the subsequent years. But all during that time, I was thinking that, like, with this, the more electronic it got, the more I was thinking I wanted to get, and I didn't know as a permanent fixture, but I knew that, like, on the second album, you know, I definitely wanted to test out some rap, and I mentioned it to the guys, you know. You know, rap and female vocal would be great to have in the mix. Now, I didn't really think about anything else. Just thinking, let's get some rappers into the studio and let's get some female vocalists into the mix, see what it sounds like. And then I had already reached out to Kyron for the first album, and he wasn't in the country, and he got back to me, and he just missed the boat because he was going to do Suffocate, and he just missed it because Chris Potter was already mixing. So I said that won't happen the next time. So we were coming up to the next bunch of releases, and then I contacted Kyron, and I didn't even know where he would be, and he turns out that he was still in Dundalk, which is close to where the studio is. And then when he started to, I think we were coming up to a couple of gigs in the UK, he drops a few verses on a few of the tunes, and then I was like, if this dude can pull this off live as good as he does in the studio, that's it, right? So we went over to the UK, and we did Lechlade Festival, and he blew it out of the park, and that was it. That was him part of the band, and then I worked with him before, and when I worked with him, this is going back about 7 years ago, but he was working with Juliana was doing vocals on Kyron's raps. And then basically that was the obvious girl to see if that would work. And the same thing when Juliana joined in on the vocals, it was just straight away it fit. It's just one of those things that worked straight away without having to try it. I mean, we did audition people. Similar thing when you know that kind of way. It was yeah. It's just that feeling you get, and because it's not only a studio thing, it's a kind of a live thing as well.
It's and also as well behind the music too, right? Of course, you have to get along and have good good sort of social experience with people as well. It's especially if you're spending so much time with them physically, and also creating music, right? Because you guys seem to be churning out so much music, and so much great music as well, which I was saying we're having a chat with the guys before you came on, and that you guys are always seem to be releasing something, and you released something today, right? So tell us a little bit about this release today. Is it finished? Are we ready to play it?
Yeah. We basically what I did was we were working on it like it was. Yeah, we do have we are prolific in the sense that we like to have this kind of idea that because we have in the past released music and maybe not have known what's coming next, so we decided there that we would not let that happen again. It's kind of like have a release but know what your next two releases are going to be, just what we call stacking them, and then you kind of have this kind of thing where there's always something to release, but you're always working on something new at the same time. So it's just kind of this idea that it naturally you can be naturally prolific then. So there was this. We had a couple of tunes that were coming close to being finished, and we pulled the trigger on one. Just we were going to do it last night, but we saved it for today just to make sure it would be. Pretty much you're the person who's going to have the exclusive on it.
I love my exclusives.
We just basically. So the meeting was around 3:00, so we just went on YouTube around 3. It's not anywhere else yet. I just made sure it was up on YouTube, and we're going to basically pull the trigger on all of the after we get when we're finished chatting to you, we'll release it on Spotify and everywhere else. I mean, the plan is to release. Last year we did 7 new tracks in 7 weeks with videos. So that was a big undertaking. We'd like to try and do the same again, but overall, I mean, even if it's a case of 2 new releases every month, but continuing like that as a minimum, I would be happy,
And the guys were saying, Barry and Raul, it's like a well-oiled machine right now at this stage. You have sort of figured out a sort of consistent way to effectively create these songs, perhaps without being too hard on yourselves, right? Has it become sort of a natural thing for you, for Barry? Let's say, I guess I'm curious, and then we can work. I don't know how you guys are looking. I've got Barry here, and then I got Raoul down, so we can work around in the circle, if that's if that
I have
works.
everyone on the line.
Oh, you have everyone in a line. Oh, so that's more equal.
I have a
guess.
line.
Okay, I have a box. But let us know actually about that.
you want to take that
yeah.
one, Shock? Shock does be sending. He does be working on stuff, sending it into the studio. You go for that, Shock.
Yes. Yeah, basically, everybody has a little job to send an idea to Rick, all the time, So I could have an arrangement for a song all done up, so I would work on, yeah, and you're right, it does get easier. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, if you try and do at least a couple of ideas a week,
Wow.
And I'll send that on to Rick then, and then but Rick can do whatever he wants in it. But one thing I've learned being in a band is the art of compromise. I can't be too attached to a certain piece, because whatever happens, Rick might want to rearrange it or chop a piece out or chop a piece in. So I can never be very precious about my ideas, but as long as I get a couple of great ideas that I think are great, I get them off, and then let the rest of the band do their stuff on it,
Right.
I think I've answered that question, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I mean, you guys are obviously the longest members, right? So you two have already kind of been through this process for years. So you guys know each other through and through, right? With regard to the songwriting process and things like that. And then you bring in Raul for to put in that extra bass, and then you bring in obviously your vocalist as well, your rapper and vocalist as well. Sorry, Juliana and Chiron, right? Yeah, Chiron and Reynolds, of course, on the drums then as well. So it's an interesting sort of process that you guys have, that like you say, seems to work. And can you tell me a bit about the album which you released end of last year, Cognition, which I absolutely loved, by the way, and I think I've already expressed that to you, Barry. And but I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't resist but to have to get it reviewed and play a couple of tunes from it. How did that concept come out? Because it's a concept album in my perception. Is that true? Would that be true in saying that it's a concept album? And how did that concept form in the creative process, I suppose? If anybody wants to answer that, I don't mind.
We ended up kind of like in this situation where it was things where we're going from, as I say, if you go back far enough, we used to do like our first gig was an acoustic gig in Bruxelles on Grafton Street, so you can imagine how different things are now, So, I mean, we were experimenting with some rocky stuff. My heart has kind of always been with the electro. Shock is more with the rock. So what we're trying to do is we're kind of getting them together and seeing what kind of fusion that we can come up with. And then we just had this idea, like in the album, like it goes, if you listen to it, I suppose in that context, it's very electronic, then it gets more rocky, and then you're finishing with like a string quartet and an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
So we're basically taking you on this journey of electro right back to basics, where there is no, at the end, there's no trickery with computers involved, no electronics. It's like, as I say, string quartet and acoustic guitar.
More pure kind of music that way.
Yeah, so that was the whole kind of idea. That was, I thought that would be interesting kind of arc for the album. It's interesting nowadays. Sometimes I think, do people, because we're releasing so much material, technically we could pull the trigger on an album like next week. But it's like, are they appreciated? That's the question, Yeah. But no, we will be pulling the trigger on an album this year.
Great to hear. Yeah, I miss albums, man. I miss people releasing albums, to be honest. And just listening to it through fully, and especially concept albums. Yeah. I mean, it's. I think it wasn't like set out to be kind of. Like when I put all the tunes together, actually, the tunes that we were working on, it like naturally started to form in this kind of way anyway, it was strange because our sound was evolving. I mean, the sound that Makings have now is way more electronic than it was, That album was actually released a few years ago. It wasn't released last year, just to correct you on that one. But basically our plan now, is to, as I say, we will release an album this year. I suppose what we're trying to do is just get as many songs out as possible, because we have a lot to release.
because we went off there after that album. We went off and we worked in the studio. We didn't release anything for a while, and we just ended up stocking up loads and loads of material, you know. So that's the reason why we can kind of afford to get new material out nearly on a weekly basis.
And who managed?
The
Like,
funny,
oh, go on, Barry.
I
Yeah.
was going to tell you, the funny thing about Cognition as well is though there's even though we did release it a few years ago, it was actually only uploaded to Spotify last year.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
for a lot of people, it will feel like a new album. You
I
know?
never heard it. Yeah, I never heard it.
Yeah, even though
until...
it's a few years old to ourselves, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it
you
sounds quite modern. Like I, for me, as in, like it sounded kind of like, and obviously this is just my perception, but I'll just say it for sayings, you know, just for the chat. But like I'm chatting to you in a bar. But I definitely felt that kind of relationship between, you know, artificial intelligence and kind of where we're going as a society, and sort of like, and the album and the journey through the album, sort of pulling back away from it and going back into nature and going back into sort of the natural course of things. And that's what I felt to it. And I think that's what I enjoy, because I'm kind of fascinated by technology, but I'm also like to pull back and get away from it. Do you know what I mean? Because I can see how sort of detrimental it can be if one is addicted to it, right, or reliant on it. So I kind of felt that personal journey through it, and that's what I kind of liked. I liked, you know, it was a bit of depth to something, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I mean, I think that like that's kind of like iClone, you know, is kind of about that, you know. And then if you go, yeah, I mean, interesting. Yeah, I mean, it does have that kind of when you say it like that, it does have that kind of vibe to it, you know, for sure. And it's funny because now I think that we've gotten, you know, I suppose with Juliana and Kyron now in the band, things have changed again, you know, which is, you know, interesting. I'm not saying that we'll never pick up an acoustic guitar again, but it could be a while.
Yeah, I mean, but if it's the natural course of the band, that's absolutely perfect. I mean, as long as you're enjoying it and you're genuine to where you feel you want to be, I guess that's the most important thing, right? You don't want to force it. And I was just very curious, like, because you guys are obviously working really hard and releasing videos with almost every song that you do. Like, how are you guys just managing this all yourself between you? Is this all just you guys, or somebody managing you guys, or how if you are managing yourselves, which I think you are, right? I'm assuming. How do you cope with the timetable and to release all this stuff, and because, you know, I'm trying to do it myself with regard to this stuff, and I'm already it's a full-time job doing this twice a week. How do you guys manage that?
Well, we're fortunate enough to kind of been always into the video production, and we do have people around us. We're fortunate enough to have people around who are you know, interested in and excited, and you know, doing, like, working in one capacity or another with the band, you know, it's as a collective kind of thing. You know, if you go back far enough, Alexandra was helping us in a managerial capacity. We've always had someone who was like doing, you know, bringing in gigs, or helping shoot a video, or helping with photography, or helping with promotion. There's been loads of people who, you know, and you know, all we can do is be full of gratitude for those people. Makings have been very fortunate, you know, to have people who, for literally, you know, for the love of it, you know, helped us out in one way or another, you know. And that still stands today, you know. We fortunate when it comes to music videos, that we can always get someone to help us shoot something. And it's like a collective, you know. What we try and do is go from kind of a band mentality to, like, try and, you know, turn ourselves into a video or a music video production company for whatever way makes it work, so we can get a video shot for release, you know, without spending an absolute fortune. And we've been fortunate enough to do that so far, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things when nowadays, when I think of releasing something, to release it without a video, it seems kind of like an opportunity wasted. Even if it's like, I'd rather have a low budget video than no video, you know.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for musicians, like in that way? You don't have to give away any secrets, of course. But like that, with regard to video production, I guess, because I mean, I guess there's a lot of stock footage you can use, and there's a few websites, right, that assist with sort of music videos, especially nowadays, right? So, is there anything you could any advice you do have for?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, nowadays it depends on the situation. I mean, like, if you're, it's different if you're a band that got, there's so many, we have so many examples, I suppose, of bands who ended up kind of having someone to do all of this themselves. That's the very, 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 very minute few. The rest of the bands who, want to be creative, get music out there, and they want to do it themselves, then there's a few things I think that you nearly need to have, within your arsenal. You need to have, it would help if you have a music producer with a decent studio, and for everyone in the band to be thinking along those lines, like, every making has some sort of a home studio and ability to do something or other, like, some knowledge of like even Raoul there, he would have his own studio. Shock has his own studio. I have my own studio. Mr. Reynolds, everyone has the ability to add in audio, video wise, something to the plate, and then that's going to help a lot. If you get, on top of that, if you get your own camera, and someone who you can trust to use that camera, so to know a little bit about cinematography is going to save you an absolute fortune. I always had an interest in cinematography, not in the sense that I want to go off and I've directed some short films and stuff like that. I've no desire to personally be a cinematographer, but like I do know about it. So we makings have, we have our own camera, and I think that's worth its weight in gold, because you can get, every time you're doing not only like a video shoot, but even gigs, it's like you can get some great footage at a gig.
Yeah, 100%. You can see that in many of your videos. You have like this, it's 4K essentially quality, right? You have these amazing shots with the lighting that's already there at a gig, and then you have some amazing then juxtaposition into sort of cinematic sort of stuff, like created scenes and moments as well, which was something in one of your recent songs. I was gonna play a song by you. Was it Elevator? Am I saying that? I might be wrong. Elevate.
That's right. Elevate.
Yeah.
Right, Elevate, and that's one I wanted to play, but will we play the new? Will we do the exclusive right now? Maybe, since we're talking about music videos and
why not?
music.
Why not?
Guys at home, are you ready for this? I love it,
Yeah,
guys.
so listen, you were just laughing before you come on, Rex, because I haven't even heard the finished next yet. You're looking exactly finished.
I've just seen the first frame, So yeah, are you ready, Kozak? That's
Okay, then.
I'm always ready, Raoul.
I would say
Nice.
viewers' discretion advised.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's okay. This is an uncensored channel, so this is why I'm on 5 platforms. In case one platform kicks me, you just hop onto the next one. So awesome. So this is I Can't Breathe.
That's correct.
By The Makings. Awesome, guys.
Well, you got him down, man. Let him breathe, at least, man. I can breathe. I've been trying to help out. Look, I breathe. Look at me. Neck, man. One of my homies died. He's with the back phone. I'm about to die to see. Why? Man, I can't breathe, my face. Just get up. What do you want? I can't breathe. Please, to be in my dick. I can't breathe shit.
Kill me now, yeah, you be the one, be the light, be the light. At the end of my gun, kill me now if you can. I was meant to die young, be the light, be the light. At the end of my gun, I say, kill me now, yeah, you be the one, be the light, be the light. At the end of my gun, kill me now if you can. I was meant to die young, be the light, be the light. At the end of my gun. So where is the love? You're making promises that you can't breathe. You don't even know now what you're doing. wrap it up like a ball, we be tourists. Prophecy, a legacy, you can't move forward. Not a thought of my own, they are your words. Screaming from the highest hill about a revolution. It revolves alright, but no solution. Always the same, so history repeats. Time is the one thing no one can cheat. Yeah, you be the one, be the light, be the light. At the end of my time, kill me now. Again, I was meant to die young. Be the light, be the light. At the end of my time, say, yeah, you be the one, be the light, be the light. At the end of my time, kill me now. Again, I was meant to die young. Be the light, be the light. At the end of my time.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's crazy times indeed. I mean, like it's just yeah, it's sometimes you feel not every country, I suppose, every country is different, but at these times it seems that some police officers just shouldn't really have a badge or a job, if that's the kind of if that's the mentality. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. No. Yeah, there's going to be, as I said, an album coming up, and we do hope to have a release next week, another new release as well. And yeah, I mean, subscribe to the Makings YouTube channel. It's always a good place to get the latest. Facebook, Instagram. That's all from me. What about you boys?
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah.
We'll be we're fairly active all the time.
I know you really are. It's amazing.
There might be something we were in our own little meeting. We did discuss possibly doing something live, down the road a while, but just keep tuned for that. We might do something, you know. We'll see how it goes on, you know.
Awesome. Raoul, do you have anything to add to the guys?
Well, basically, music is about an expression of art, and that's about reality, the good things, the bad things. But the important thing for us musicians is just to keep releasing music, and that's about it. That's what we're here for, just to live and to leave a footprint. So for us, it's music. So unless you have a footprint to leave on society, just a general advice for everybody, don't breathe. Let people breathe that need it. If you don't have anything to contribute, just don't breathe. I'm just joking. I'm just trying to bring some splash of reality like we could see, and thanks Kozak for having us and keeping, you know, thanks to people like you, we can still promote ourselves and keep music, bringing in other artists. Like I was listening to Emily before, so cheers, and yeah, keep the music alive. That's the most important.
Yeah, well put, guys, and you guys are absolute gentlemen, and thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me on this sunny day. And thanks for what you are doing. You know, I've been following your journey for quite a bit, and it's just nice to be able to sit down and have a chat, and it took a quarantine to sort of be able to get a chance to connect in this way, isn't it? It's mad. 30 minutes, you know, how often do you get this much time with somebody, you know, in this fast-paced world? So it's amazing how things have slowed down. So thank you, Rick, thank you, Barry, thank you, Raoul. Absolute pleasure as always, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys live. You know, this is going to be a beautiful thing, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, and having a pint, having a pint in a chat, you know, simple as.
That's
looking forward to that big time. Can't wait.
Everything together.
One step at a time, I guess. Take it easy, brothers. All right, have a good weekend.
Thanks for having us. Enjoy this. Everybody else watching, enjoy the sun and the weekend. It's going to be a cracker, I think. You know. So.
Awesome. Oh, it is. Wear the suntan, or definitely wear the sunscreen. Take it easy, guys.
Cheers. Right. Thank you.
See ya. Bye. All right. So that was Makings. And we were joined by Barry, Raoul, and Rick. So absolutely awesome. And they gave us an exclusive of their song, I Can't Breathe. And yeah, very, very heavy reality check right there, guys. So yeah, share that video around. I think it's a very important message. And yeah, wow, it's crazy. Yeah, seeing all that again. So yeah, sorry, my mic did go off there, guys. So there are a little bit of technical issues today. You know, they're going to happen. So Mike is back. So sorry about that. Yeah, you did miss me for a couple of seconds. Hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you guys are all good. I know I haven't been communicating, which has just been sort of absorbed into the conversation. So look, by all means, do send in a question if you have any questions for any of our guests. So without further ado, because I've been running a little bit late today, I'd like to welcome Connor and Zachary. Both from Monkey. Oh yeah, so I'm super excited in getting to know the guys here. And there is Connor.
I am here.
How are you doing, man? Are you keeping well?
Well enough.
You're looking well, man. Look at that, just chilling in the sun.
Yeah, dead right. I have my pint in the freezer because I opened it and it was way too warm. So I will be going to get that post haste soon enough.
Fair play. Yeah, I'm getting kind of thirsty myself, man. Actually, so after this, I think I'll have to head out and get myself a couple of brews.
Dead right.
Yeah. So let's see. Do we have Zach in the house as well? Look, like now I'm hungry looking at his picture, like with the croissants.
He's got croissants.
He's got croissants in his picture. Yeah.
Hey, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I haven't had lunch yet. So.
Oh wow, you've been having a busy day. Is it?
I'm getting teased by alcoholic beverages and grub. Yeah.
Don't worry.
I've been suppressed to my chair all day. No, but I've been having a good time. I've been having great connections with some amazing musicians as well. So let's see. Do we have Zach? Can you hear us? I think it might take him a couple of seconds to get in. We had some technical issues earlier, so I do apologize for the delay. Oh, he's just writing me. I'm trying to connect. No worries. Yeah, it's a bit harder to conduct interviews under this kind of situation, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely a new kind of experience, but like I think it's just for a lot of people it is kind of stressful, but at the same time I think for people like us, it's all we can kind of really worry about is like living and just being. in the moment right now, which is kind of liberating in a way. But then is also the kind of stresses of real life are going to come back eventually.
Yeah, yeah.
At the moment, I'm just kind of enjoying it for what it is.
Enjoying it day by day. Yeah.
Global pandemic.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? And sometimes you get those reality checks now and then, you know, because I'm just doing day by day like everybody else, right? And all of a sudden, like, I'll have a conversation like I'm having one with you now, and all of a sudden this kind of wave of, oh shit, we're actually in a global pandemic still, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. Like I'm living here with my 90-year-old grandfather at the moment, so like it's kind of that is kind of a stressful side of things, because like obviously he's not allowed to leave the house or anything like that, so it's kind of going to the shop, and you have to be very aware of like when you go out and when you're coming back, you have to like sanitize your hands and everything like that. Just be very careful in that regard.
Of course, yeah, you have to be extra cautious, of course. And well, thank God he has someone like yourself, man, you know, to take care.
Well, he has me and my mom and my mom's partner and stuff like that. So like he's lucky in that regard, but there are plenty of elderly people out there who aren't as lucky.
Yeah.
But hopefully there's some kind souls out there that are doing some good deeds, doing the shopping for them and everything like that.
Yeah, Connor. I think that's what's happening, you know, and I think I've noticed definitely, and I've heard, you know, there has been a lot of beauty within the community, Irish community, and of course internationally, of people being, you know, it can bring out the best in people, right?
It definitely has been, like, because like you see, like all the videos that are coming out of like the bingo nights and everything that people are having in like the flats and like in housing estates and everything like that. You didn't see that before this.
True.
You really didn't see that kind of stuff before it, and it's kind of cool to see that there is a community aspect being developed, and like it's pulling people together rather than driving people apart.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, like it kind of seemed like with how everything was before, it seemed like people were kind of drifting apart, and now we're all kind of coming together and realizing that we're one. We are all the same at the end of the day. We're all people at the end of the day.
100%. I mean, I guess it took something like this to sort of pull us back and sort of give us a kick in the arse almost, you know. And it's just really unfortunate there's a lot of people suffering because of it and have suffered and passed away, and obviously horrible things, you know, have happened.
Absolutely.
My God, yeah, it's just crazy how the world is anyway, and where it was going perhaps before this might have been an even worse place. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it all remains to be seen how it turns out in the end. I was reading there today that there's a Chinese firm who are 90% sure that their vaccine will work. Now, we'll see, but that's still a long ways off.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting so much different information as well about that. I mean, and vaccines can take quite a while, right? I mean, the SARS one, I don't think that has ever actually gotten a vaccine, right?
Well, historically, we've only ever eradicated one disease from the planet, which is smallpox. We came close with measles, but then the anti-vaxxers ruined it for us, unfortunately. But we'll see. We'll see, because it's still a long ways off. We still have to wait. It'll probably be 2021 before we get anything like that.
Which means it'll probably be 2021 before gigs will happen, right? I mean, there's no way. I don't think people can be. I mean, bars are open 10th of August, right? So, and there is some restrictions, right? I'm sure you've read about, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, one musician on a stage might be okay, you know, or 2 meters apart.
It's hard to know, like, because at the end of the day, it's something like I was discussing it with some friends of mine who are also musicians as well, and take venues. So say somewhere like Whelan's in Dublin, which is like their main room is a capacity of 400 people normally. A venue like that will only be able to take in 50 people under social distancing requirements, which is crazy, because like I can only imagine Whelan's live room with only 50 people in it. It's fairly sparse.
But dude, I prefer that. Look at this. I'm getting like 5 Zacharys coming up here. Let's see which one's gonna. I think he's connecting with every device. I love it.
He's multiplying.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Gee, no, seriously, like there's so many of them. Okay, here we go. Zach, can you hear us?
I can't see or hear Zachary.
You don't. Do you have this? Do you have the screen with Zachary's name?
I literally just have the two of us here.
And there he is. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't know why my computer.
There we go.
But I've downloaded it and I think I'm here. Am I here?
Yeah,
I'm
you're here. You're here. You're looking well. We had like 7 Zacharys come into the room. I didn't know which one to choose, but I think I picked the right one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Bring back croissant, Zachary.
Yeah, bring back.
Oh.
We were eyeing up your croissants there, man.
So buttery and good.
Yeah,
very good.
So what I was gonna say, like, it's been kind of like I would prefer sort of like an empty, because Zachary, we were talking about sort of the possible future of gigging, right? And and I was thinking, first of all, actually, nice to meet you both. By the way, thanks for taking the time on a sunny day to chat to me, to chat to little old me. I really appreciate it. But yeah, it's crazy what the future is going to hold. But these drive-in gigs, I'm not too sure. What do you think about these drive-in gig situations? I'm a little bit skeptical of them. What do you guys think?
I mean, yeah.
If it means we can get back gigging safely, cool.
Yeah, I'd definitely do one for the, like, for the giggles. But as to whether, I don't drive. That's my first problem.
I don't think you have to drive though. I mean, like, you'll be performing, right?
Yeah, but I'm just even thinking of going. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like we'd play any gig. Like I'd play at the school across the way from me if they let me. But like it's always got a question, like, would I go? Is the thing, just as a thing. I mean, I guess if it was someone I really loved, 100%, like, it was a band I loved. But
you want a big car park as well, though.
Yeah,
you'd need a really big car park.
Oh yeah, to fit car. I mean, cars are bigger than people, right? So I mean, that's like 5-10 people, maybe the size of a car.
How does it work? Do you stay in the car?
I think there was some footage that put me off it, right? Only because instead of clapping, people were beeping, and there was a lot of fumes and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it just looked like a scary dystopian future where, like, you're not allowed outside. Like from some movie. I'm sure we can all sort of imagine.
It's like that TV show that's on Netflix now, Snowpiercer.
Is that the one where it's the train and it's just constantly traveling
everybody
around?
lives on a train?
I seen that. Yeah, that's a ridiculous movie.
That doesn't seem logical at
all.
No,
like, I mean,
surely it'd be safer to go underground and on a train that's constantly. There must be a reason for it.
It was cool. I liked that movie.
You liked it.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, the one with the train, and they have to get from the end where, like, the poverty end to, like, the 1% end.
Yeah.
So it's just Hunger Games on a train.
Yeah, it's actually a movie. It reminded me the movie The Platform that's on Netflix that some people like, kind of reminded me of that, actually. That Snowpiercer one, except I think Snowpiercer was better and The Platform was like the worst ending. I don't know. I'm not going to ruin any.
I haven't seen Platform, no. But I've seen Snowpiercer like many years ago. I was just quite curious the fact that they just decided to put it on Netflix now during these times when we are kind of trapped indoors, when they're kind of on a train, right? So I guess it was kind of fitting. But what I didn't like was the fact, and maybe this is ruining the whole point of the film, because maybe the point of the film is that you are experiencing each kind of class as you go by it, right? And I'm sorry we're getting into this, but we'll move on quite swiftly, don't worry. The fact that there was no, like, side route, that you had to go through that carriage, and it's like, that's a bit weird. What if that toilet doesn't work on that carriage? You have to go through the other carriage, it just didn't make sense to me logically. Connor, I think you were saying it doesn't make complete sense, right?
No, but I don't know. Like, I can't. I've just seen the trailer, so I'm just going by what I've seen on the trailer.
Okay.
No. I saw the trailer and I was just like, they're on a train.
I'm ruining it for you, man. No, look, we won't talk anymore about this, but
it's fine. Just don't give any spoilers for The Last Dance, and you can spoil whatever you want.
Oh, do you know? I think it's I think we should probably move into the music sort of sector of the conversation. Probably best off. So first of all, like, congratulations on your recent release, Closed Door Policy. I thought it was great. I played it at the last show. I thought it was fantastic. How has it been, like, releasing a single or releasing music during quarantine for you? Like, is it frustrating because you can't gig, or how has that emotion been for you anyway and process?
Yeah, to know.
I think the whole, like, kind of release method is similar, but it's it's like actual, like, the follow up to it is just like non-existent then. It's like,
yeah,
releasing... go on. Yeah.
We normally like would play gigs around every time we release a song. You know what I mean? Like we'd just be playing shows and whatever, and you know, but it's as it's kind of says the same like method of people can listen to it and stuff, but it's different because you're not. There's nothing else kind of around it, and there's nothing else for anyone. You know what I mean? There's nothing people can do really, except unless you're a frontline worker, you know, or you're working from home, like musicians like us. Like what do we do? Like, do you know?
Was the song written before the quarantine, or was this something that?
Like two years ago it was written. I think we only recorded it recently. We only recorded it in like August of last year, but the song was written like 2 years ago.
Very fitting for the times, isn't it? How crazy how it happens.
I think that was our reasoning for release, because we've had it in the bag for quite some time, and then it's just like when this all happened, Zach was kind of threw it into the group chat about maybe releasing it, and it just kind of it did feel a bit right at the time, just because of the themes of the song and just the title of the song. It just was fitting for what everybody was doing out there. So.
Yeah, because it's happened before anyway with guests that I've had, you know, and they've definitely written songs, let's say even, you know, a couple of months before this, you know, that's quite eerily almost kind of relative, you know, which is I mean, it's an amazing thing. Your creativity fascinates me, you know, the process, how it works, because it's not very, I don't like to try to make it a tangible thing, creativity. I like to see it as an abstract sort of inexplainable thing, you know, that just happens. It's like the present moment, right? It just happens. When you try to force it, it doesn't work out the way you want it to, but then when it's so delicate, right? And how does the creative process work for you guys as a band, as a 4-piece, right? So how does it work for you guys? Is it different every time, or, you know, how does that?
I think we've kind of like tried a few different things over the years, like as in just different methods. Like, you know, when we first played, you know, I would have like come with songs when we hadn't practiced or anything. I have a few songs that were kind of sketched out, like, as you know, like basic drums and bass and whatever. And then as we kind of went on, we'd sort of do more like building a song kind of step by step, like, oh, let's play, this is cool, what if we match that with this? But then I think it's kind of like recently the stuff we've been writing, which like we haven't played any of it yet. We've literally just been getting in a room and just like improvising and like that, you know, just not thinking about it, and then things just kind of happen. You know, we've got like tons of things that we played and recorded, all of them in a kind of way. But sometimes you just play something and you're like, that's a finished song. We just have to like record it again with better equipment. Do you know what I mean? And then sometimes you're playing the worst shit in the world that, you know, you'd never release, but that's just the fun of it, I guess, you know.
I think that's been the big benefit of like, so we kind of started like when we go into practice, or like when we be jamming, we just recorded everything. So everything gets recorded, and then we can kind of cherry pick the bits that we like. And but then there'd be times where somebody would come in with something that they've already pre-prepared or something like that, and then we'll work on that as well. And then as Zach said, sometimes it's just like it comes out of nowhere. You never know when creativity is gonna hit. Like sometimes it can just like you'd be asleep and you wake up and it's like, oh, I've got 4 chords ready to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like Emily Jane as well. We had a chat with her, and she says that she would record every single rehearsal, you know, and they would jam, or it would be kind of like a free flow. There wouldn't be, you know, and I personally like playing that. As a drummer, I always enjoyed sort of going for the natural approach and then finding something within a 20-minute piece, let's say, which can be a bit tedious, right? Because you're listening back to all your stuff. And yeah, so it's a bit tricky. And I suppose then when you get to the studio and stuff, as well, then you've got a bit more pressure on yourselves, right? Because then your kind of click track comes in, or, you know, time comes in, money comes in, and that takes away sort of the natural sort of process of creation, because the recording is sort of like can be a bit less natural, right? Because there's more pressure and stuff. But you guys have worked with Dan Doherty, which
yeah.
So how was it working with him? Because I know him. I used to rent a studio downstairs with him. So I haven't seen him a while. So how was it working with him? Because you've recorded your EP and your recent single with him.
Yeah, the last 2 singles, isn't it?
Yeah, I love Dan. Dan is the man.
He fits the name, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how was it in the studio with regard to his production and stuff like that? Did he give you guys some tips, or did he help you out, or was he like a fifth member of the band in that kind of way, or did you guys have everything already prepared and it was just like, yeah, we have everything like that. We want this way? And
funny
Well,
enough, like
yeah,
I think the first time, you know, he was really enthusiastic about the songs, which was great because like I had a friend recommend to me, you know, you should record with him. I had great stuff come out with him, and so I was like grand, and I sent him a message, and we were all kind of then discussed among us, yeah, we'll go for this. But like it was based off of like before like any like logistics were discussed. He was just talking about the songs or like the shitty phone recordings that we can we swear? Is that's
Oh
probably
yeah, please. Yeah, yeah. Make it real, guys. We got it with no censorship here. Make it real.
Cool. We just send him stuff, and he would get like really excited and think of ideas of how to record it, or you know, just stuff like that. So we loved that energy, I guess. And but then the interesting thing was with Megaton, like we kind of like we were writing like a few songs at the same time, and that was one of the kind of jams, improvised sort of things we came up with on like a Paddy's Day, where we were like just like everyone was in town, but we just went to like practice and have a few beers in our space, you know, during all that stuff. And that was one of the things we came up with and had it in the back. Then we went on tour. We kind of like had it in the back thing, and we kind of sent him like 6 jams, what you know that we had. But we kind of worked more on Megaton anyway. But we wanted to kind of just get his inside of like which does he think is worth working on, and it was like instantly he was like this one, like a really basic version of it. And we'd already kind of half mostly written it then, but it was just interesting to kind of gauge that. I don't know. He like was in the same mindset as us, I guess, you know, which was cool.
I like as well. One thing I really like about working with Dan as well is if something doesn't sound good, he's not afraid to tell you. Like a lot of people will him and haw and like kind of just do what you want, whereas he has always been very blunt about things, and that's you kind of need that in a producer.
100%.
Like if something's not working, there's no point in like sticking to it if it's not going to work, kind of thing, which I really like. He's honest, and it always pays off in the music for us. That's why I like working with him. So
yeah, you need that, you really do. And do you have that in between yourselves as a band when writing songs? Are you as honest with each other, painfully honest about things?
I definitely think there's times where we are honest with each other, and then there'll be times where like, because at the end of the day we all want to service the song to the best of our abilities, and yeah, we will be honest with each other. Most of the time we're honest with each other anyway, because we're all mates.
Yeah. Where did you guys did you meet in school, or were you mates before, or what's this?
Well, funny enough, Connor and I were the only ones who met in college. We were like Sam, Connor, and we were in BIM, music college, you know, whatever. And what you call it? I met Connor in a class, and we bonded over Foo Fighters and Chic of all things, like
cool.
Those two bands.
Two polar opposites.
Nice, yeah. But imagine combining that, you know.
Yeah, that was sort of the start of things and everything. And then I met Sam. I got a job, funny enough, in a Foo Fighters tribute act as a bass player. And I met Sam there, even though he was in BIM as well. I just never met him before, and we would like jam funk in between songs, you know. And then Niall was my friend since we were like 5, and I just one day just asked him when we were drunk, "Do you want to play bass?" And he was like, "Yeah, sounds great."
That was actually hilarious when you just shot into a message to me. I found our bass player. This is like 4 a.m.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's where all good bass players, you know.
Yeah. It's usually a story like that, isn't it?
He was always
nearly 5 years on. I think it worked out. Like
I love how like the bassist story is always like the bassist being really casual about entering the band, right? It's like, yeah, I've got nothing better to do. I might as well just, yeah, sure, you know, why not? You know, 4 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And so, you guys study. What did you guys study in BIM? Did you study the songwriting course, and how did you find BIM?
I did songwriting. Connor,
I did the guitar.
You focused on the guitar, yeah. And how did you like it? Did you like the course? It's a long course, a 4-year course. Did you enjoy it?
Definitely, there's parts of it that I really enjoyed, and then there was parts that I wasn't. So I didn't enjoy as much. But that's just my personal experience with it. I think a lot of I definitely know people who have had a different experience with it.
Yeah.
But if I didn't go to BIM, I wouldn't have met the lads or
Mm.
met Zachary. So we wouldn't be a band if that hadn't have happened. If we weren't all there at the same time, it kind of wouldn't have happened. So kind of good in that regard.
What's your opinion, Zach? You kind of the same about it?
Yeah, I had a great time. Like, but again, I kind of went in. My expectations before going was like, this is the only reason I want to be here is to be around other musicians. In like it's an excuse for me to hang out and play music. You know, 5 days of the week. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're absorbed by music, right?
Huh?
You're absorbed by music. You're living,
exactly,
eating, breathing it.
You know, and in that sense, it really like was amazing because like the way I even just think about songs and music, like the amount of types of music that I kind of was opened up to, or you know, that like kind of drawn attention to, because like my family were not like the extent of music knowledge by like my parents was like you know, the Clancy Brothers and the Chieftains and like
Class.
ABBA, like that's all
All
kind
class.
True.
Yeah, oh yeah,
true.
class. But there was no like that's very like that's like pop and Irish music. There was no sub genres or anything like that. So everything I've had, you know, you find through friends or. But then BIM, like for example, is great because you just meet loads of people who are into like weird stuff you never heard of, and you're like, cool, I'll check that out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I did a diploma in BIM on the drums, which I really enjoyed because I got to learn about genres that I wouldn't naturally steer away from just because of my own sort of upbringing or perception of said genre. But then when you're learning it and you're sort of seeing it, especially theoretically, right? When you're dissecting it, it was quite interesting learning about the history and things. But no course is perfect, I guess, right? I mean, there's always going to be something that might, you know, that you might not enjoy or however. But it's an amazing thing that's happened because that college is only there 6 years, 8 years, maybe.
Eight.
Yeah.
It's
Is it eight now?
year now.
Eight, yeah.
So it was in its second year when I started there. So that would have been 2012. So yeah, 2011 was the first year of it.
It's amazing.
So yeah, it's going into its ninth year now. So
it's really, you know, I don't want to say churning, but that's the only word I have in my head right now, so that might be a little bit disrespectful, but it's really churning out fantastic musicians, you know. Like
done a really good job of bringing musicians from all over the country to one space as well, which is cool.
Yeah, like I would kind of believe that, especially with musicians and music, it's like it's only just a moth to a flame, and like it doesn't like not to discredit it or anything, but it doesn't like make be all and end all of, like, if you don't get in there, as you know, you try to get in and you don't get the points and you're leaving cert or something, doesn't mean that you're not going to go off and be the like most amazing singer or guitar player or drummer, but it certainly is like a, you know, it's like, oh, I want to go to, it's just like, oh, like I want to meet football fans, I go to a football match. I want to meet musicians that want to play music all the time, go to a music college, you know, but it doesn't have to be, you know, it's kind of,
it's a good tool, and it's like a melting pot, right? Kind of just where people congregate and meet. The work is obviously down to the individual, right? And also your networking skills, your social skills as well. I mean, to be able to, and obviously management skills, right? Because you're managing a project together with multiple people. You have to be able to learn how to, you know, communicate effectively, be respectful, and I suppose that's a lot of things you would learn, I suppose, isn't it, from being sort of surrounded by musicians, how it sort of works, and also having mentors of musicians as well, which are quite great musicians, right, as well, of course, that are teaching you there. So it's an amazing thing that happened, you know. I think it's a great thing that's happening as well right now. But look, we could talk about BIM for ages, and I don't want to delve into. I suppose I could chat to you guys for everything, because the amount of stuff you have done as well. I'm actually quite curious about the tours you've done, and was there a tour kind of that stood out for you, and sort of how touring has been for you as a band, and is there anything specific that kind of pops out to your head right now? Because we're trapped indoors, so we're doing opposite of touring, right? So is there anything that sort of brings you back nostalgically? Connor, or I guess if you want to start.
Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah, well, touring was like, definitely, it's one of those things that I've always wanted to do as a musician. I think most people, once they kind of pick up an instrument and they start playing in bands, or like they kind of, maybe the goal is to tour, or maybe get the chance to tour. And we've been lucky enough to do it twice now. Like, we've obviously played around Ireland, but we're lucky enough to have played outside of Ireland twice now. And I think the last tour we did would definitely be the most standout one for me because it was the longest one. It was with the Meat Puppets, which was pretty cool. Like getting to meet those guys and just like hearing the stories that they have. Like the stories were the most insane thing. Like because obviously those guys played with Kurt Cobain and stuff like that, who myself and Zach grew up like kind of idolizing. And getting to hear these first-hand stories from people who actually knew him and knew Dave Grohl, and just like kind of the ins and outs of what it's like to be a tour, because they've been touring since the 80s, and just like just they have so many nuggets of information and can help you.
But yeah, they were so like we kind of just got on well with them, and I think they, you know, like for all they knew, we could have been like little pricks. Do you know what I mean? Like we were like, they liked the music or whatever, but like they didn't, you know, you don't know a person, like, so like I think once we got to know them, we really like it was I wouldn't forget it, like, because they were just so, they wanted to just like help us and show us, like, give advice, share what they've learned or things, you know, and or just have crack and talk silly shit, like, you know, we'd have like dinner and stuff, and they were just so like, I don't know, I was kind of expecting that like they were fully within the right to like not ever talk to the support band. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the big thing.
Yeah,
getting to sit down,
they were
like
so friendly and just so like kind, and like their energy was so just like uplifting. I don't know, they were just lovely to be around.
I loved my daily, like we'd have like we'd all each kind of have like a daily chat with their bass player, and he'll just kind of like he's almost like a grandfather. He comes in and he's just like puts his arm around you. He's like, "Let me tell you about the time I did this."
Oh, that's
and just like he'd tell you the craziest story that you just like. I don't even know how to put them into words. And like I don't even want to put them into words because they're just like experiences that I'll hold dear in my heart.
So precious, yeah.
So long, like for the rest of my life, basically.
Wow. What's like?
Also,
I'll go on, Zach. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, and then the second half of it was obviously playing the gigs to all these complete, you know, like fresh faces because you know Ireland's a small country, and you know you play enough gigs in Dublin, as anybody knows, like you kind of see this similar, you know, people or whatever, especially your own gigs or whatever. But when you're kind of just playing in places you've never even been to before, and like, you know, it's a sport thing, you're showing up for, you know, fans of some other band, and you get to just play for them, you know, and we found like a lot of them were really like, especially in like Europe, they're like really open to like discovering music this way. Whereas I know I was guilty of this when I was a teenager, you know, I just never show up for sport acts, you know, I'd never just be like, the thing starts at this time and go. But like for the support act of like pretty much any band, it's like, that's like a huge, like from their shoes, it's crazy. Like, you know, for a lot of them anyway, you know. For us, it was the most insane thing in the world to be able to play like Belgian people and like sold out gig, like full house. It was like, and you know, chat to them after, and you know, these like things that you just like, how did you get here? You know what I mean? You're like, I've been playing songs, we play in the room, and then you're playing to all these people in a place you've never been, who just about speak, you know, the same language. Like I don't speak theirs, they'd speak English, which, you know. It's crazy how good everyone in Europe is at speaking English. Which is
people on the continent also really, really love merch.
Oh right.
Yeah. It's like it's a big, like that was such a surprise. Like it's like we shifted a lot of merch on the continent. That like we weren't expecting that. It's just like after every show, you'd have like a lot of the people would come up to you afterwards and be like, "Can I get a CD or can I get a T-shirt?" and stuff like that. And I think we nearly ran out of T-shirts by the end of it. If not ran out of T-shirts by the end of it.
Amazing. What would be kind of like actually, how long was the tour for? Actually, that particular tour.
16 shows. 16. Yeah, because we did 15 shows with the Meat Puppets, and then we did one of our own shows before we went back to Ireland.
Okay. And how many countries was it? Multiple countries.
UK, Belgium, Ireland, UK, Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands.
I love how you had to like think about that. That's is it all a blur to you? Is it all just so like, because that's epic. Like that sounds amazing. I've never done something like that. It sounds great.
It was epic. But when you have to get from Frankfurt to Norwich in less than 24 hours, it's not.
Yeah, it was less than what was it? It was we finished the gig and we finished like because we were taking all the backline in our van for the gigs like we'd bring like the heavy, we had space like and then we drove like 12 hours straight or something, I think. Was it
15?
15, yeah.
Who was driving?
Oh,
Mr. John Boom.
John Boom, vansontheRun@gmail.com.
Wow. Oh,
John
yeah.
Boom and A-Trade, the absolute men on the scene. If you need to go anywhere, they're the guys you need to get in touch with.
Great. I have him as a Facebook friend, actually. Yeah. So I know who you're talking about. That's great. So you guys didn't have to drive at least. That's good.
No, we would be annoying and like, be annoying.
But I'll never forget that day in Frankfurt as well, because it was so warm. It was like the hottest day of the tour as well. And like we finished the show at like 10 o'clock. So Meat Puppets got off at maybe like 11.
Yeah.
And then we had to strip down the gear, and it was like the hottest night of like the whole tour. And I just remember being like, I can't do this, and I had to strip off my clothes. And I was standing in the street in Frankfurt in my underwear before I got into the van before we had to go. Just because the only thing I could do, because I was just like pumping sweat after like lifting all the gear out, and then we had to drive 15 hours.
Jesus. And you were like in a convoy, is it basically? Like he's
essentially, yeah.
Wow.
I do it tomorrow again, for a month.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I would, if we could, I'd be gone.
I think as well that you have to like, because we did one tour the summer before for like a week or 8 days, just over, so maybe 9 getting home. But like that was the first one we'd ever done, so we like would get drunk every night because it was like holiday and it was just like mental. But then this time we were a lot more like looking after ourselves, like trying to eat good and like not pick your nights, like 2 nights a week or 2. Yeah.
All the venues made that easy for us though in Europe.
They fed you.
Every single one. Like they had dinner ready for us when we got there.
Seriously, like European like culture, I don't know what it is. I mostly went to Poland because I my parents are Polish, so I go back there a lot. But when they drink, they eat like 3 meals within the drinking session. If the session starts at 8 p.m. and finishes at 3 p.m., you'll have 3 full course meals. Like so you're never too hungover the next day, right? So I kind of get it, because I say it's really difficult to not drink right on a tour. Because would you not feel a little bit like a rock star? I mean, I surely would, especially for the first one, I guess, and then you learn your lesson, right? Is that what happened to you guys?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, well, like the end of the first tour, I drank 2 bottles of wine in like the space of 40 minutes, and was in an absolute state, and I lost my shoes.
Okay.
For the last night of the
That's
tour.
not too bad. Were they nice shoes?
But I had to. No, they were terrible.
We were at a festival as well, that one, so it wasn't like you just lost your shoes. Like
no, I kicked them off and was like, "This is a no shoes festival," and then I couldn't find them.
Oh God, lesson learned, guys. Yeah, that's amazing. And was there a particular and I'm sorry, I'm talking about this casual chats, I guess, but I'm really curious about the whole touring sitch, and I suppose it's kind of bringing us back to a better place, right? Maybe I'm doing you a little favor. But was there any kind of gig that stood out for you, maybe on tour or even in art, whatever? I mean, I don't want to, I guess, just focus on just the touring, but was there something gig-wise that you can paint a picture for me so I can pretend I was there and forget where I am right now? Individually, I guess, I guess you'd have your own.
In terms of like just any of the gigs on tour or just any of the gigs we've ever done?
Yeah, I guess any that you've ever done, I suppose, that stood out for you. We can talk about any on tour since we're talking about tour, but I suppose anything in Ireland too, or anything that's sort of that your mind takes you back naturally. You know what I mean? Subconsciously. It doesn't have to be a big gig or anything like that, but I guess just where your head is now, I suppose.
I think for me it would be either the first show that we did in the Netherlands, which was in Arnhem, and we walked into the venue and I was just like, what is it? We had our own dressing room, which had never happened before. Like, and like it had our name on the door and everything like that. And we were just like, whoa, this is, and then we walked into like the actual like stage. It's like, it was a converted theater from the 1920s.
Wow.
That had been retrofitted to be a venue.
Wow, sounds
And
amazing.
who was it? There was somebody was playing the night before in the venue as well. It was he played with Queens of the Stone Age. He's actually on our agency as well. I can't think of his name now though, which is probably bad form on my part, but
Oh, it happens.
however.
Brains are a bit, different these days. Quarantine brain.
Quarantine, yeah. Let's put it down to quarantine brain.
What about yourself, Zach?
Yeah, I was gonna say Arnhem as well. I think it was one gig where we were like, so it was in like the middle, smack bang in the middle of touring. So I think like by then the set was just like muscle memory, like absolutely muscle memory, which meant that like, and as well, I'm a big fan of when there's lots of room on the stage, because it just means like I can just kind of completely actually zone out and like fall asleep, and I won't hit anyone. You know what I mean? Like just zone out and just do whatever you want. That one was great. This like once I come back would be like Knock and Stocking last year last year, just
in the circus tent.
Yeah, in the dime store, which was like such a big thing for, going to the dime store and the dime store tent and everything, and then being actually playing in it was just like so cool.
But that was as well for me. That was like kind of a little thing to check off the to-do list for me, because I kind of, when I moved to Dublin first in 2012, dime store in Sweeney's, RIP, was kind of like where I kind of got my introduction to the music scene in Dublin, and like seeing all the bands that came up through Sweeney's and everything like that, like the Eskies and everything.
Yeah.
So it was really cool getting to actually find, because I never got to play Dime Store when it was in Sweeney's. I've since got to play it since they started it in Drop Dead twice. But it was really cool getting to play the Dime Store tent, and I got to check that off the list. And I remember telling A-Trey that, and he gave me a big hug afterwards, and he was like, "Oh, thanks, man."
Amazing. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely when you can tick things off the box, and sort of experience something that you've that you've sort of appreciated before, right? And never thought you might do it, or however. It's really nice. Do you guys have any tips for any kind of musicians, any bands sort of that are sort of trying to, I mean, there's so many wonderful artists and musicians in Dublin particularly, right? And of course across Ireland, but Dublin is where kind of a lot of them meet, or in Galway probably would be kind of secondary to Dublin, right? Any of us to sort of like stand out or anything, like, because it can be quite difficult, right, to sort of stand out from everybody else, and not that maybe it's necessary, but if there's any kind of tips you might have for people watching, because a lot of musicians will watch this show.
Don't be afraid to be ridiculous.
That's good.
I think that really worked in our favor at the beginning. We didn't take ourselves too seriously, and we used to make stupid videos, and they were actually a lot of fun. So if you don't take yourself too seriously and don't be afraid to be ridiculous, people kind of latch onto that.
Or just kind of be yourself and just like silly jokes. We like pretty much a lot of them sort of start with like silly things we'd say or think of or whatever, and like you have that one idea that was like, I don't even want to spoil it. I can't remember. We were going to do that, but like we can actually see each other at the moment, even like meet up and do stuff. But I don't know.
Well, I can give one aspect of it, and it's the idea of pre-dipped biscuits.
Oh yeah.
Buy a packet of pre-dipped biscuits.
That's all we're getting, right?
That's all you're getting
that's
for
all
now.
We're gonna have to figure it out. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing a little bit, and tell us before I let you go, because I don't want to keep this for too long. I know we started a little bit late, so I do appreciate you hanging on, and I want to give you a bit of sunlight as well before the day ends. And obviously, we all need to have a drink or something after this for sure. But what's the plan? Do you have any kind of ideas what you have planned for either during the quarantine or anything afterwards? Or if there's no plans or you don't want to give anything away, is there anything you'd like to do, either as a band or just as a human being, I suppose? It's a very broad question, but it's the end of the segment, so I'll let you guys choose how you want to answer it.
We're working on a high concept double album about the adventures of Marty Whelan in a post-apocalyptic version of Ireland where it's a desert. And none of that is a joke. That's
that is actually 100% true.
That's a crazy coincidence, because I was interviewing Jamie J. Carr, Irish comedian, and he had Marty Whelan as his backdrop, and he was going on about him. So he's getting a lot of attention lately.
Well, he deserves it.
Big fan. He's just like the sweetest man. You know, like after Michael D, you know, he's my like, you know, I think he could be president of Ireland, to be honest, actually.
I think when he finally decides to retire, he should be allowed to spin the wheel.
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
what I think. I think that needs to happen.
There you
Or
go.
we should get when eventually he passes, like we all eventually will. We should get his mustache bronzed.
That's a good idea. And so this is a double-sided concept album.
Well, I say double. I mean, we want to cut it down, definitely. But we've jammed a load. We were doing this before. Maybe is whenever we finished when we released Megaton. I think after that we started working on this kind of. It's just as a lot of it's just come from jams. Some of it sounds a bit like Talking Heads, circa Remain in Light. Some of it sounds like Rage Against the Machine. It's probably terrible, but like we're enjoying it. So
most importantly, and it's nice that you guys are releasing an album. Like, I mean, it's not really the suggested direction, and it's an unfortunate thing that some people would sort of refuse to do that, because of, you know, the whole way the system works, right? As we're quite aware now that the single kind of bite-sized system works. But I really enjoy listening to a full album. Like, I'm sure you guys too, as musicians, right? To sit down and just appreciate.
I'm a very big fan of albums, because I kind of like I'm a big fan of prog rock.
Awesome.
From when I kind of coming from my dad, and like then just like through friends and stuff. So like one of my favorite albums will be Dark Side of the Moon, and you can take songs from it, but you actually have to listen to the whole thing as one big 47-minute piece.
Yeah.
To get the whole idea and the concept of it. So that's what I think. Albums are my favorite thing, and also Dark Side of the Moon is perfect album for now. The themes are perfect for what's happening right now.
I think though as well, if you really like, you know, make an album with a lot of like, maybe like the right amount of like love, attention, and like maybe like we haven't made one yet. It's probably going to be terrible. So this is all, you know, in retrospect, this would be. But you know, if you really want to make it an album from the love of albums, listening to them start to finish, you know, if it's good, people will find it. You know what I mean? We'll like it. We won't release it, but we like, you know, we're happy with it.
We'll be proud of it. Like,
yeah.
All we can do is do our best.
100%, and stay true to yourselves, right? Because like this is something you guys believe in. This is something you guys, you know, are sort of naturally drawn towards. So go with whatever you feel like you want to do. I mean, who's to stop you, right? And like you're saying, if people really appreciate your music, which obviously a lot of people do, you know, they're gonna absolutely love an album. You know what I mean? So I think it's a great direction. Is it gonna do it on vinyl as well? I hope, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about doing vinyl release for a while, but it's just we've just never gotten around to it. Personally, I'm looking forward to the country follow-up album to this as well.
Yeah.
All country and western. Monkey Goes West.
Oh, really? Is this genuinely happening?
I mean, absolutely. It's a good idea. We could run with this.
Yeah.
Pull a Bob Dylan on it. Just go full.
Actual guest feature as well. But he doesn't want to go by Dylan. It's all Zimmerman.
Oh my god! Oh guys, well, absolutely fabulous. I think I've just been wound up there completely. But I'm not. Who knows? No. We don't know. We don't know until it happens, right?
Wait until fucking 2026 or whenever quarantine's over.
Wait that long? Oh,
yeah, all I say is we'll probably end up doing, you know, an album and then do something. I'd say we probably would end up doing something a totally different left turn from whatever we did.
We're going to start writing novels.
These albums are going out of fashion. Let's go back to the old tried and tested novels. You know, like,
yeah, exactly.
I love novels, but I mean, I don't think it's
We're actually the aim of my novel is that I'm going to actually write the album that we've just recorded and released, but I'm going to try and write it out in the words to make it sound like the music. So when you read it, it'll be like ba-da-da-ba-da.
It'll be all phonic, like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's. I mean, whatever. Do the weirdest thing you can possibly do, right? And then forget about it, and then move on to the next weirdest thing, right? And then just keep doing it. It can't go wrong. I mean, eventually you're gonna strike something, right? You're gonna hit gold, hopefully. But listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat you, Zach and Connor. Thanks for taking the time, guys, for chatting.
Thank you.
And
thank you for having us.
Yeah, no worries, pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you live, of course, and just having a drink, which would be lovely. You know, honestly, like just simple having a proper chat without a bit of lag. And you know, I'm not gonna miss lag after this. I'll tell you, that's the one thing I won't miss. But
absolutely not.
Listen, guys, enjoy the sunshine and have a great weekend. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
See you now. Bye.
All right, guys. So that was Zach and Connor from Monkey, and yeah, I've got I'm gonna play one of their songs. I'm gonna play their most recent release, "Closed Door Policy," with and they have an official lyric video to go along with it. We also have our pick of the week, so please stay. We are going to be showcasing Toshin's recent EP as our pick of the week. So usually I put it in the middle of the show, but I was running a little bit delayed, so I figured, you know, I wanted to not keep the guests waiting. So I'm going to play Toshin as well after I play "Closed Door Policy" by Monkey.
As long as nobody sees, I believe
that was Closed Door Policy by Monkey. And I was just speaking to two of the lads from Monkey there. I was speaking to Zach and Connor, and we had a lovely chat. So yeah, absolutely just a lovely day, lovely conversations today. Thank you all for staying tuned in. Don't go away. We are doing our pick of the week right now. And yeah, I'm very delighted to announce that Toshin got pick of the week for their recent EP, Get Your Life. And look, I've been a fan of Toshin for quite a long time, since I first seen them a couple of years ago in Chennai. And yeah, so I'm absolutely delighted that they released such a wonderful EP this year. So I asked Paul Archbold to review them for me, because he's just better at writing than me. You know, I'm the talker, he's the writer. You know, I'm not gonna pretend. You know, he's good at that stuff, but he's like the ghostwriter here now for me. You know, but I have to give him a shout out, because he's doing a lot of work, and not for me. He's not doing a lot of work for me. He's doing a little bit of work for me. I know he's watching. So, yeah. So I wanted to really hear his thoughts on the album. So here we go. So Dublin. So just to give you a little bit of backstory. So Toshin are a 6-piece Dublin-based band who take inspiration from a variety of music spanning from early Motown to modern soul and R&B. So they've released 3 singles just recently. Their recent one being Knock Knock from their EP. So yeah, so 3 singles will be on that. Is it 3? Jeez, I thought there was 4. I might be mistaken. Sorry guys, my brain is sometimes gets a little bit fuddled after a few hours, so apologies for not getting that one right there. Let's see, are we talking about 4 songs? We're talking about 5 songs. I knew there was something wrong there on their recent EP, Get Your Life. So yeah, absolutely amazing EP. And yeah, I'm going to read out what Paul Archbold wrote about them. So he says, Toshin have arrived. This week's deMars Radio Pick of the Week is the electrifying Get Your Life. So this funk soul fusion have captured something special with this release. Listening to this record was a joy. It's like someone took elements of Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Lizzo and Parliament and threw them into a blender, and the product was this truly inspiring EP. The EP starts with Seriously, and all I can say is wow. The song has the line, you're gonna see my name in lights, hear the crowd scream Toshin. I've got to find a crown for this queen. And honestly, I couldn't agree more. This band is ready to take on the world with a sound that is appealing to many different audiences. Next up is Eat, Sleep, Sex, Desire. This is one of the strongest songs I've heard from an Irish act in a long time. In a long time, he says. It's an infectious funk-riddled banger. And I love that. That's so typical, Paul. Infectious funk-riddled banger. What a phrase. Fused with a bit of heavy rock guitar akin to Red Hot Chili Peppers' Mother's Milk era. One of the songs of the summer without a doubt. Oh Lord is one of the slower paced songs on the EP, but in no way does it pack in any less of a punch. An emotion driven, soulful number that shows the excellent vocal range of Toshin. Get onto your streaming service and check out this EP out. Yeah, so check out this EP. Thank you, Paul, by the way, for reviewing this EP for us. 5 wonderful tracks on Spotify, and Toshin is on Bandcamp as well, and they're also selling some merch. So yeah, just check them out, and they've got a couple of music videos up as well. So I'm actually going to play a music video. Let's see what I've got. Yeah, so I'm going to play it's not a video, but I'm going to play it on YouTube anyway. It's going to be Eat, Sleep, Sex, Desire, and Paul says to crank it up loud and have a dance. So Paul, I might just do that. I mean, I might do it at the risk of embarrassing myself. But thank you so much for the EP, and Toshin, well done on a fantastic piece, collection of music.
Yeah, I don't need to testify. You can't do nothing wrong. Yeah. retreat. It's in. I want to sin, I want to sin. You tell me you're a good person. You've got a steady job and a full state pension. But baby boy, you never once in mention the things that keep a woman in your bed. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. What a woman needs. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. What a woman needs. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. What a woman needs. Sleep, sex, Toshin stopped the break. He only met this brother, girl. You gotta conversate. He loves everything you say. Got your eye up here like a three-course meal. Yeah, Mr. Light Brown Eyes. She's looking for some lightning. I can handle me a big supply. But then you say she ain't my appetite. That man to keep me going through the night. We ballin'. It's all about the chemistry, the positive psychology, the mix to make biology, equality is all. You tell me you're a real good person. You got a steady job with a full state pension. But baby boy, you never once in mention the things that keep a woman in your bed. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. What a woman needs. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. What a woman needs. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. What a woman needs. Sleep, sex, Just think about it, baby, we can stay together, groove onto the crack of dawn. Exercise our animal rights while we are young. Can you connect your body with your mind and your spirit? Open up and rise above and show me some love. Sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it. Sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it, sing it. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. 1, 2, 3, go! Eat, sleep, sex, desire. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. Eat, sleep, sex, desire. Eat, sleep,
Awesome. So that was Toshin with Eat, Sleep, Sex, Desire from their EP, their latest EP just released this year called Get Your Life. And yeah, what an absolute tune. Absolutely awesome band. Well done, Toshin. That was just phenomenal. Well done on that release. Really, really good. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, Toshin. Good to see you. Absolutely our pleasure. And Paul, thank you so much for reviewing that. And I know you enjoyed reviewing that as well, so I was happy to give that to you. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, do check them out on Spotify, and they have other tunes up there as well. We've already played Knock Knock, and they have stuff on YouTube, of course, as well. And yeah, they have a couple of other singles released. They released 2 singles in 2018 as well. Boy Listen and We Don't Share Blood, 2 other great, fantastic tracks. So yeah, and Toshin actually had vocals, right, Toshin, in Closed Door Policy. Which was it? Closed Door Policy? Am I mixing up a song? There was a song that we played today, right, that you did backing vocals for. Wow, my brain is definitely losing its strength at the moment. I can't believe I forgot that. I had it all prepared and everything. But yeah, there was a couple of collaborations in the house on this show, which I will rectify afterwards. And I will just give myself some harsh slating now for not remembering all these things. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in, by the way, and staying tuned in and enjoying the show and interacting a little bit with the monkey. Yeah, of course, Toshin, thank you for clarifying that. Closed Door Policy, of course, and it was literally the song I played before we did the pick of the week. So no excuses on my behalf. But absolutely amazing, Toshin. Well done. I'm going to play one more song for you guys, and then I'm going to let you go. Before I do, actually, as well, so we're back again on Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday at 2 p.m. again. So I'm going to just literally experience the same situation with the sunlight come beaming at me through the window for the crack. And do tune in. I'm going to try and shorten the show. It's very difficult to shorten it. Less than 4 hours, I know it's a bit crazy, but I'm working on sort of trying to refine it. Getting growing pains, I guess, trying to transition into sort of a more effective situation so you guys can enjoy it fully, and the musicians get the right amount of exposure and everything like that. So bear with me on that stuff. But anyway, we're gonna do business as usual, 2 p.m. on Wednesday. And we've got some great guests lined up already. So I'm going to do up an event page. I might do one today. I might do one tomorrow. Actually, I might give myself a little bit of an even. Clearly, my brain is asking for a break. A couple of beers, maybe. I mean, yeah, might just do that. But I'm going to leave you with an interesting project that, to be honest, to my own sort of ignorance, I suppose, which I will admit, I have, there have been many projects that I have just omitted, or for whatever reason, just haven't seen or haven't, delved into. So these guys are called Kneecap. So you might know these guys. They're a hip hop trio. They consist of Makara, Mowgli Bap, and DJ Prove. I hope I'm pronouncing that right now. I did do Honours Gaeilge, and then I had to drop down to pass because it was just too much. I was doing eight subjects in secondary school, 4 of which were languages. But so they do implement a lot of Irish Gaeilge into their songs, which is quite cool. And the sound is quite unique, and they combine their in-depth knowledge of Irish language and killer flow with wry humor. So they've been quite the provocateurs of the Irish music scene, and it's a reference to their name is reference to the Troubles. And they got into a little bit of they got a ban from RTE and run-ins with UCD and things like that. But their high energy is not to be missed, and I've watched a few of their live shows on YouTube, and it looks like they're quite popular, and they definitely make a lot of people enjoy, make their heads bop. So I'm gonna play one of their songs, and I was literally listening to a couple of their tunes, and I really enjoyed them. So I'm going to play their song Gael Gigolos for you now. And I'm gonna close off on this. I'm just going to play the song, and then I'm going to cancel I'm going to stop the feed. So I'm literally going to leave you with this. I hope you enjoyed the show today, guys. Thanks as always, for tuning in. And I'm going to leave you with Kneecap.
Cons a current in my clutch armor, but Hilly Bogadana said Tora in Hana. Chen Tashak of these fake provies, Akui shit, Fwack Wilm August Mowgli.
I told ye, not be a go hard for. It's not be a show hard, could you hear and fucking or.
Look, ni got a vapor, a store. It's not like making a few quid was hard before.
Well, the Shin Fear, I turn the concho, can't heal. Mercury was Juril in a fucking seal. Social there.
And if you don't know, I'm not telling you, mucker.
I read then my car, I got Jane fucking plan. I'm fucking choking out this time with the Rehab Makastan. Muggers River Wad Bay, I learn your land, yeah, fuck that. Then met your buggy between two, yeah.
Sure, we're well known for being cream the fella. Just as it's the Kiana's Chucky plan, like hella. Like Lord Swing Kian, Ata, or the Wad, Marta Sham, fucking Wayne, Shenagiri Cudge.
What are you looking? Crown for 30, 2 for 50.
The
cons, I can remove my cut jam and the blunts. They'll whack in my wallet the funds. The shot of Gary Costa, I can relate to the Wamo sauce. Then the cons, I can remove my cut jam and the blunts. They'll whack in my wallet the funds. The shot of Gary Costa, I can relate to the Wamo sauce.
We made a mint off the baggies, Ganamara. Bashiri Sulahari get Majin, a Marak. It's Jack Lumens, a local shop with Daralawa. Then sell the clues on the hipsters at Holland and Carrock. Next stop, a Ghoulish Jack, a couple of ban and tea. A locally known gigolo if your husband is deceased. Pricing a resident on a shambra, you see. Akmashan or who then Tommy a Wadney's cost to see.
Old dick,
I just lick it and spit.
Sean Fitch.
Me Ferrari get I eat that shit. Akvet hit river, August Chirac in the yay. Because hydrated boys can last all day.
Collie I'm kicking up a storm, lima wood she girl, Murney Vesha churrum. Kiss stop, pig and chat, ultra miss. Yes, miss, 20 extra fur tongue with a kiss, so it's cake Alec. I'll let you slip the fist, Sean Seal Nish, Kneecap, or in hit list, Gael Gigolos. Ik vraag te earn the mommy hoes. the daddy hoes. Mar Tommy Cobalt, limit serotonin. But even Sean Dini need to get about him. Dini Jassa when you get to know them. The ruddy Jassa that could be stolen. Nesh Nima Akamagu nor a Jeremy Shin. Nakarma Anyam Shees for your next to kin. The Swagamak got pain the defension. Upper let the cards about my erection. Na cons, I can remove my jam and the blunts. Neil whack in my wallet the funds. The shot of Gary Costa, I can relate to the Wamo Sasta. Na cons, I can remove my jam and the blunts. Neil whack in my wallet the funds. The shot of Gary Costa, I can relate to the Wamo Sasta.
With your east and a got rockin' ish and a hoovness. To say and I'm doing, it's time to do this. Fuck 'em slan and my pensioner mates.
Yo, couple of pounds of fresh and don't forget to close the gates.
And me and Lum, Hum, Bulu, Mowgli. And we're two and chumlin' of tech people, Luigi. Sweet, Creekney, and ish amigo. Fucking old people, I'm an opposite pedo.
Rock out stir, stick and fork, up this tea and the dissies. Le puss more cause I'm blowing them kissies. What's happening, fellas, now? Don't be getting jealous. I'll take you all out for a good fellas. Next been a janta. After drop more Colin, it's DJ Provy, it's a walk on a tandem. And he whipped out his handgun. Shin and jury, listen to ramen. Shin and jury, listen to ramen. Me le false riff and tandem. You looking yokes cause I have him. You looking yokes cause I have him. The cons, I can remove my jam and the blunts. Neil whack in my wallet the funds. The shot of Gary Costa, I can relate to the Wamo Sasta. The cons, I can remove my jam and the blunts. Neil whack in my wallet the funds. The shot of Gary Costa, I can relate to the Wamo Sasta. Maggie from the Upper Falls, what's happening?
Shout out the dirty Deirdre from Devils.
That's a loving crack. Any age, any sex.
Red and old folk from any postcode. Cross community.